Okay, well, it's showing I'm live. Welcome back, everyone. This is Jukes Lounge. I should actually list the episode number, but I don't even know the episode number. But this is part 3 of a very important series that I've been doing with, the dude. Everyone knows who he is. This is the final one. This is, a very exciting one. He's just launched the protocol yesterday, so I appreciate the guy coming on. I mean, he's been very busy, and yeah, this is the final one, and you all know him by now. We're going to be looking through the latest protocol, Stax. Yeah, you all know him by now. He's not just any guy. He's not just any dude. He is the guy, and he's the dude. So we're gonna bring him in. How you doing, bro?
Hey, I love the
Not just
intro.
any guy, man. Yeah, thanks.
And I was thinking, you're like,
Sweet.
this is the final one. I'm like, I want to be clear. This is the final episode on this 3-part
This
series.
3-part
But,
series. That's true. Yeah.
but I'm nowhere near done.
Nah, there's no, there's,
Uh,
it's, he's got the building bug, man. He's always got to be building. So,
yeah.
yeah, dude is not done. And who knows, we might get some spoilers. I don't know. How's everyone doing? I can see some people in the chat. So thank you all for coming. Just gonna shout out all these people quickly. We got Mrs. Whittle. We got Helios.
Nice.
We got Weaponhead. Nice to see you, man. Weaponhead's always in here supporting us. What if Steve launches well and stuff today with no supply and hand of orders? That would be fun. Who knows? The world is full of surprises. We've got Keto. So yeah, guys, thank you for coming. And I can see more people coming in to view us. So let's just yeah, so how you been, man? I know obviously launch was yesterday, must have been quite a crazy day.
Yeah, absolutely. Like fitting in a Christmas event with family, like in between all that, I'm just now like unpacking everything this morning. I feel like normally I would just be glued to the screen and watching everything for hours on end, and like I disconnected some, which was healthy. Like I had a great Christmas with the family, and now I'm back into it, and like been going through all the stats all this morning. We got the buy and burn kicked on. Just everything's looking good. I'm very happy with how smooth it all went.
Yeah. It was so smooth. Yeah, I was actually at work, so I kind of saw a launch, and then well, I didn't see it launch, but I knew it was launching, and then I went to check deck screener, and I was like, hold on, Element's pumping. And I was like, oh, I know what's going on here.
Yeah.
The real question though is, how many Red Bulls are you on today?
I don't do those. I try to stay natural. So it's just the caffeine, just coffee.
The coffees.
And I'm only on cup number 1, actually.
Cup number 1. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm on 2 cups, and I'm on like my 2nd cup of tea. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just too British. Got to bring the tea in there somehow. Yeah, man. Man, you must be. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I got some good sleep actually. Not bad. Like I feel like with a successful launch, like it was easy. There was no nervousness. Like everything was running beautifully. I felt like I could go to bed and like not wake up to a shitstorm.
Yeah. Do you feel like in your first launches it was like super stressful and you struggled to sleep, and that's something that's improved?
Sorry, you cut out a little bit. Say that again.
Okay. Yeah, I just said, do you feel like in your first launches the stress of it kind of ruined your sleep, and that you've kind of improved in that area?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Like I now know how to launch protocols properly, and like the secret sauce is minimal setup at launch time. We set this up in a way like, we launched 12 contracts. But we did all that ahead of time. Like this wasn't like we got to do all this right now, because then we launched 12 contracts. Then you've got to link all those together. You got to run a lot of functions to get all that going. But we were able to do all that the day before and get everything set up. And so on launch time, it was just start mint. Like that. It was that simple.
That's good. I wonder how much. This is just a side question, but I wonder how much it costs to actually launch all the protocols, like all the contracts.
Gas
must be a lot.
It is, but
Uh-huh.
the gas price was crazy low on Saturday. It was like single digit gwei. So
Oh well.
um,
I
I still
think
need to do I haven't even gone through to see, but I think it was somewhere around like $800 or so. So
that's so funny because the reason why I asked it was because I did a little crypto project like at uni, and when I went to launch the contract for the project on ETH, the cost was about $800, and I was like, man, my student loan doesn't cover that. The student loan doesn't cover that eight hundred
yeah,
dollars. I think I had
yeah,
to
like
switch it to like BNB chain or something.
right. With Helios, like which is like probably a quarter of the amount of complexity, it cost me like $3,000 to launch. And just
Mm,
gas, just gas. And like, but that was because the gas prices were just crazy high at that time.
yeah.
So when we launched this, we like checked the gas prices, and I was like, "Oh my god, like, let's launch right now. Let's get all these contracts out there."
Mm.
So I was very pleased, and day one mint, like the gas stayed very low. Like it was only like $5 to mint an NFT. Like I really couldn't have asked for anything better than that. You know?
That was good. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
good. Yeah, and I remember Helios when it launched, the gas price, even on mining, was a lot. So it's nice to have like a nice gas cost for the users,
Mm-hmm.
especially day one guys. People getting in day one, they believe in the project, so it's good to get them in and have them in on easy cost basis. Thank you, Utah. Smash the likes. That's good to
Yeah, and like he
see.
was pointing out, we had a 6-hour call going over all of the launch, going like running through all the variables, making sure everything's set correctly, launch all the contracts, link all of them together, make sure the front end, the website is updated properly, everything looks good there. Like, yeah, yeah, like a huge process. It was basically my entire day on Saturday was just prepping for what we did was a very simple, easy launch. So that's the only way to do it, in my opinion.
Okay, am I back? I think the
Yes.
internet's bugging out a little bit.
Yeah.
Cool. Yes. Yeah, I think I might roll with the cam off for a little bit just to see if it picks up, and then I'll put the cam back on. By the way, shout out to Dude. He's the one who told me how to get my photo on the icon, because this happened in the last stream and I was just like a faceless
Yeah.
random image. So it's good
Yeah.
to
It
have
looks
that.
good. Yeah.
Thank you, man. Yeah, thank you. Okay, should we roll into it? Let's just roll into the
Yeah.
breakdown. There's a
Yeah.
lot to get through, so very exciting. Yeah. By the way,
Mm-hmm.
also I want to say thank you to everyone who supported my streams on Twitter, X, or in Telegrams. Like I've seen it and I appreciate the love. So thank you to all of you guys. All right, let's just share the screen. Okay. Yeah, here we are. Cool. So Stax walkthrough. Oh yeah, and by the way, for those who don't know, Dude and Utah Crypto. So we have Utah in the comments here. They're both involved they're both co-founders of this project. By the way, Utah, if you want to come up on the stream if you're available, then let me know. I'll send you the StreamYard link. You're more than welcome. And yeah, so this is for the time being going to be me and Dude, and we're going to go through Stacks. So I kind of broke down the overview that was in the white paper here, just so people can kind of see the kind of key points. So yeah, Dude, how do you think of these key points? Which ones do you kind of on a personal level kind of stand out as the main ones?
I would say number one is your position cannot get diluted. That's probably my favorite one. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Once the 28-day mint phase is over, like your percentage of the rewards pool can only grow. Like, and as people burn NFTs, your position goes up, but nobody can mint NFTs. So like
Mm-hmm.
it's impossible to dilute you, which is,
Yeah.
especially for stakers, like that's a very common theme. Like it's impossible to stop your staking position from getting diluted because anybody can
Mm-hmm.
always come in and add to their stakes. and
Yeah,
that's all we see that across the board. That's what's always going on. So by having that
yeah,
here, where
definitely.
it's like, yeah, you can actually stake, you can have a position in Stacks and know that it's not getting diluted. So to me, like that's huge. Um, Number two is probably auto compounding. That's for anybody that knows math, like auto compounding, the snowball effect is massive. Like if you're talking what it looks like in the next 4 year cycle, if you're auto compounding through all of that, like it's huge.
It can be huge.
So
Yeah, I was actually going to raise that point. I can see because it's actually a really cool time to launch the protocol because Titan X mining hasn't begun yet. Like the protocol's on a it's going through a correction, and people might see participation in a lot of the protocols being lower than it can be. But it's cool because everyone who gets these NFTs now, like, can you imagine next cycle what this could look like? Possibly, people who hold these NFTs and they hold them through to the next cycle. I mean, that could be monumental. The types of payouts and stuff that they could be getting, and I can imagine the value of them possibly being insane. Um,
mhm.
I think for me, one of my favorite parts of the key points here would be the liquid staking. I really like how, um, you know, like for example, when people staked into Titan X, we all knew we could get a liquid eventually, but you still had to wait quite a while, like maybe a year or so. And it's just cool that people can stake and they don't have to feel like they're locked in for any period of time. You can always burn NFT, claim your backing, and move on with what you were planning on doing with your crypto. So yeah, I think that's a really cool element. And then by doing that, they just give everyone else a bigger position. So that's
Mhm.
sick there. So yeah, quickly for you guys, the run through of the main points would be where was it? Which one was? Okay, yeah, we'll just go from the top. Okay, so auto compounding. So for those who don't know, the protocol will basically get payouts and then auto compound back into protocols to build a bigger position. There's a lot of nuance to this auto compounding, and dude knows himself. It goes through some changes throughout the lifetime of the protocol, so that's cool. But that will look very nice, possibly months and years from now. Liquid staking, like I said, and yeah, you get longer pays better bonus. So this is basically good for anyone who, especially good for people who have smaller positions,
Mhm.
because we know that a lot of these protocols have a bigger pays better. Basically, what that means is the more tokens you stake, the more shares you get. You get a bonus. And if you're a small guy in the game, when you go to stake, you're just not going to be able to get those. You're not going to be able to compete, essentially. But by taking part in the protocol, then it's essentially like pooling a bunch of Titan X together, a bunch of X28 together, and staking them in protocols that give you huge, um, bigger pays better bonus. So that's really cool. Um, like dude said, this was his favorite one. The NFT holders don't get diluted. I think that's awesome. That's one of the biggest kind of FUDs, so to speak, in staking protocols in general.
Mhm.
Fine burn never runs dry. Why is this, dude? Do you care to explain?
Because we have a position already in 5 protocols. And as time goes on, we'll be expanding that. So let's say in the future we're in 15 protocols. One of those 15 is going to have a staking payout, right? Like, what are the odds of all 15 stake pools running dry? Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we're spread across so many and that's where you're getting the more consistent payouts as well, is we're spread across so many pools that even if a pool runs dry, well, first we'll stop allocating more funds to that, and we'll reallocate those funds to another pool, which kind of feeds into that point above this, adaptable. um, so this is going to be adaptable to stay current with staking pools that are healthy and are having payouts, and so
Mm-hmm.
we're always going to be shifting into those. Obviously, like, our current position can't be unstaked. So this is like whatever we're auto compounding is always going to be going into fresh pools.
Mm-hmm.
And so in my eyes, like, that's with these more consistent payouts, the buy and burn is fed from these staking payouts, just like NFT holders. So in that sense, as long as there's one staking pool out of the dozen that we're in has got a payout, then our buy and burn is getting filled back up. So
yeah, nice. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how all these protocols play out during the bear market. I always feel like there'll be participation, so there will always be something coming into the buy and burns and stuff like that.
yeah, I
And
think like Blaze and Flux are pretty consistent. Like they're not like there's nothing huge on the payouts, but like every 8 day, like there's something in that pool, and like yeah, I think there's going to be future protocols that come out that are hot, and we'll be ready to jump into those immediately. That's what I love.
yeah, and
Staying
yeah,
relevant.
of course, yeah. That's what I think. The adaptable part is such a key part of the protocol, because if you launched a protocol and it was basically fully decentralized, like it just ran and you can't change it or alter in any way, then there is that kind of risk that the positions you're getting in protocols that could be obsolete. Who knows, right? We never know what could happen, right? So by making it flexible, it gives it much better flexibility. Sorry guys, hold on. I just think. Thank you. Sorry, tea has been made.
Oh,
Thank you.
I'm jealous.
Girlfriend,
Where's my
she made me some
service
tea,
at?
man. That's funny to get that in the middle of the stream. I think she put it on for the whole family. So
That's
too
beautiful.
good. That's Pakistani chai, guys. Undefeated. I want everyone to try it. It's so good.
Okay.
Right. So I might have lost my train of thought slightly there.
Uh,
Yeah. I like that it's adaptable because it can always stay up to date.
and just to be clear, like this, X28's omni-chain. So if there's a staking protocol on Binance chain that comes out, we can get in that. We can send X28 over to that chain and get into that staking contract and then ship that X28 or whatever staking rewards back over to ETH and pay out NFT holders and put that in our buy and burn.
Oh man, that's so bullish.
Yeah, like this is going to remain relevant. That was the key factor. Like when X28 came out, we were like, this absolutely needs integrated. We want that's huge, and so that's what we did.
Yeah, that's amazing because you're kind of following the ecosystem wherever it goes, right?
Yeah.
And if the future of the Titan X kind of vision was to come true, which would be multi-chain or omni-chain and having protocols everywhere, then yeah, this could potentially be big, So that's awesome. I love that. I love that it can go on all the positions because it's X28 you're staking, which is omni-chain. So yeah, it doesn't. You don't need to launch your own omni-chain thing because you're using X28 to do it. But that is launching your own omni-chain thing. Yeah, that's awesome. I just realized I didn't actually say this. I'm gonna quickly say it just for all the people tuning in who don't know anything about Stax, like they don't know anything about Stax at all. Just to make it really simple, in the Titanx ecosystem, there's a lot of staking protocols, including Titanx itself. Basically, what that means is you get tokens, you lock them in a contract, and you get paid rewards. Okay, so that's essentially what staking is. And there's some issues with that, like you could lock your tokens, you won't be able to get access to them for a long time or possibly forever, or you get diluted. For example, other people stake and they get more payouts than you. So Stax is basically a protocol that aims to solve some of those issues that users could be facing by allowing you to have a position that won't get diluted and also having being able to get liquid again on your stakes. So just for those who don't know anything, they haven't watched any streams on Stacks or they don't know much about the ecosystem, I just want to explain that quick point there. Cool,
and
man.
I want to add to this element ecosystem is the easy button, and so Stax is the staking easy button. So if you want to stake in Titan X, you can go to Stax and like hold an NFT, and all of these things are done for you. You literally just go to the website, claim your rewards every distribution cycle, and that's it. Super simple.
Yeah, it's the easy button ecosystem,
Yeah.
E280 is the easy button just in terms of holding something,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the easy button now for the stake payouts. But when I saw the white paper for this, oh man, oh, I was so excited. I was just like, I was buzzing because I didn't predict what it would be. I thought I might be able to predict it, and then when it came out, I was like, no, I was totally wrong. But this is so much better than what I thought anyway. So cool. Let's
Nice.
get into it. So the token LP, very easy. This protocol is linked to Element, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like a build on Element in the sense of the LP and what's bonded to. So yeah, if you guys go to deck screen and you type in Stax, you'll find the Stax Element pairing, and that's super bullish because that means Stax will be getting the price appreciation of Element. How are you feeling, by the way, about this LP, like the thickness of it and all that?
It's the top LP. Now it is the thickest in the Element LP web. And I want to point out that Shogun has already added Stax to their LP web as well. So there's actually 2 LPs for Stax now. The main one is Element, and yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect. Like the by design, this is, for Elements, rewards are driven by volume, and by putting Stacks on top of Element, it's just adding volume. We saw a huge spike in volume yesterday from it was like 10x what we've been seeing in previous days. So
Yeah,
any Element 280 users, they got like 10x the rewards yesterday,
that was
just
amazing.
on the
Yeah,
launch.
that was so
Um,
cool. I think it hit nearly 500k volume. Like that was insane. So I was happy,
yeah,
man. I had the little moon math. Guys, if you want to go back to our E280 stream, you'll see the moon math.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
So
And this
that was
is
amazing.
and we'll get into it, I'm sure, but the buy and burn routes, it takes X28 and buys Element, and then from Element buys Stacks. So like our never ending buy and burn is always going to be adding volume to Element, so I'm very, very excited about how that's going to look down the road. Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be so fun to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into that, I'm sure, but you can imagine the compounding game and what can happen with that. It could be insane. Um, yeah, so for those who aren't familiar with this whole ecosystem, essentially the way this token works is, or the way this project works, is you have a token. So there's the Stacks token, which is explained quickly there, the LP for it. And there's also an NFT. So to make it very simple for everyone, essentially with the NFT, you mint it directly with Titan X. So you go with the Titan X, you go and mint the NFT. And this isn't just any old NFT that you just sit in your wallet and does nothing. The NFT kind of has 2 main elements. No pun intended. It's backed by the token. Okay, so the Stacks NFT is backed by the Stacks token. So it's the same system we see in Element 280. And also you can earn. So it's got a backing, and you also have this earning feature, which we'll get into this, but there's this rewards pool which gets filled up by the stake payouts, which Stacks will have a position in, and those payouts will find their way into this rewards pool, which, based off your total shares in the rewards pool, you earn those tokens. So, very simple overview of the NFT. Like, just we're not looking at which NFTs these are. All the NFTs behave in this exact same way. So, yeah, just a simple NFT breakdown. And then yeah, the minting. So you've gone for the 28 days again. Was that just because you thought it did so well for Element 280?
Yeah, it just seemed like the perfect length. Like I was really, really happy with the mid phase of E280 that we were like, we're not changing that. It's exactly the same. And
Yeah,
yeah, it really was perfect.
it's cool to see so many 28-day mint phases now. How many 28 days we got? I think we got Element was one, Stax is one, Shogun,
Yeah.
Phoenix. Is Matrix 28 days?
I think it is. I know I think like the full distributions in like 8 days, I think, but then the auctions are running 28 days, I believe. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I need to double check that one. But dude,
Yeah,
man, looks like you're setting some trends, man.
yeah. Same
That's
with accepting ETH as payment. A lot of people really love that concept, and I'm happy to see others implementing it. Like that's so great for the whole Titanx ecosystem.
yeah,
Stax was no different. We're seeing people mint with ETH, which was, that's just market buying Titanx in the background, and then using that Titanx to do the mint one for one. So
yeah. So functionally, it's the same, but it just makes it so much easier for the user.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
awesome. So just some quick points on the mint phase. Essentially, it runs over 28 days, and it's going to be a one-to-one mint cost. So this mint cost doesn't change.
Mhm.
There's no it's not going to go down by any percentages. It's simply going to be one Titan X will get you on Stacks. Essentially, that's it. And I think we'll get into why you've done it like that in a bit. And then yeah, the Stacks is claimable after 48 hours. So if you were to mint, you don't get the coin straight away. You just have to go to the website in 2 days, basically, and claim the tokens. So don't be worried if you feel like, well, I paid that gas. Where's my tokens? No, don't worry. Give it 2 days.
It's in the mail.
um, yeah, it's coming. Yeah, it's 2 day transfer fees.
Yeah.
How come you went for the one-to-one?
It just seems very simple. Again, like I liked how E280 went. The one for one is a very easy concept to understand. It's easy for you to do the math as a user to do a cost basis of like your ROI. Like anybody in E280, they can very easily go, okay, I put 10 billion Titan X in to mint. And so like they've got that one to one. It's just easy to do math is really what it is, I
Yeah,
think. Makes
yeah.
sense.
I especially think it's easy if people do play a compound game because they know their cost basis is
Yeah.
very predictable, basically.
Yep.
So if they had an NFT and then they claim it and then they rotate it back into Titan and then um, make more NFTs, for example, they just know the cost basis is the same. So yeah, it's one of those simple features, but yeah, definitely nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main stuff there, and we kind of already mentioned this, guys. So you meant your stacks the Titan X. I think I put that in here twice. I don't know why I put that in there twice. Okay, is there a buy and sell tax?
Nope.
What was
And the
what's
reasoning for that is there's no LP web. So to me, like a tax on a single LP isn't quite as beneficial. There's uh, with an LP web, and you got like E280s at like 26 pairs, I think, right now, something like that. Um, that creates a lot of arbitrage going on, and that's why that tax is there, is to tax the arbitrage bots. With
Mhm.
Stax having a single LP with E280, it's just going to go up and down with the price of E280, and there is no arbitrage opportunity. Although there is now with Shogun, so there is a small arbitrage
Yeah,
opportunity.
yeah,
But we just decided like it's having a tax would only tax users, whereas like
mhm.
E280, the primary volume is driven by bots, and we're fine
Yeah,
taxing the bots. But here it's like 90% plus of the volume is going to be actual users, and we would be taxing those people. So, and then on top of that, we're built on E280, which has that tax. So we didn't want to double tax people as well there. So
hmm yeah. I
it
didn't even
just
realize. I didn't realize that. Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah,
yeah, it's the E280 tax supports Stacks. Like getting in and out of Stacks positions, you're gonna route through E280, and you're gonna pay the E280 tax, and that'll support Stacks in itself with the bonded liquidity. You know,
hmm And even
so
if they decide to route through Shogun, it's gonna get taxed with Shogun. So it's whatever way you're trying to get out, you're
uh,
gonna get taxed. So yeah, guys. I mean, we're basically with the tax stuff. I mean, dude summed it up perfectly there. Um,
yeah,
it doesn't really make sense to have it just on a single LP. You can't take advantage of any of the arbitrage bots that will be coming in, so it just doesn't make sense. Okay,
yeah,
so guys don't need to worry about any tax. You're tax free. All right. I should have put a picture of the buy. This is the buy, tax free. Okay. Okay. Right. Right. So yeah, you can see these NFTs. There's a lot to get into in these NFTs. NFT specs. So I've kind of broke it down again in a simple way, and then I've got the more kind of complex breakdown here. So very simply, for those who weren't around for E280, basically with the NFT, there are three main types of NFTs. There's the common type, the rare type, and the legendary type. They all have different cost basis and kind of like rewards associated with them. However, you know, and you'll see in a second, you could mint a bunch of commons that equals a rare. So don't get too stressed about the names and things. It all comes down to your game plan as a user with what you're trying to do. And then the different types have their own tiers, and the tier system's the same between them all. So essentially, you've got the normal one, which is going to be the common. Then you have the amped tier, super tier, and the LFG tier. And as you can imagine, the cost basis goes up, okay, but the potential rewards from that single NFT would increase with the cost basis. So yeah. So my question is, what was the idea behind the additional tiers? We saw in E280 the amped tier. Now we've got super and the LFG.
Yeah, looking at the stats on E280 NFTs, we saw like there was like 4x the amount of amped versus regular NFTs. So that signified to me like people really loved the amplified version of it. And then I thought, well, if they like amped, like would they like it super amped? And then I was thinking about it and I was like, well, let's fucking go. Let's try like a double, amped version and see. And like looking at the stacks, everyone loves it. The most common tier minted is the LFG version.
Yeah,
across the board, the commons, rares, and legendaries, LFG is the top mint. So I would say the market has decided they like this upgrade, and yeah, it.
I also think there's like and I said this to you just before we went live. There's kind of this psychological element with, if you guys element again, that wasn't a thingy joke there. There's also this kind of psychological element to it, because if you guys have been to the Stax website, you've seen how beautiful the NFTs look, and then you see kind of what the normal one looks like. You're like, oh man, it's black and white, man. It just hasn't got that vibe to it. And then you look at the other ones, you're like, oh, those are looking too nice. It has a psychological element where you just want to get the LFG. It's a human thing.
Yeah.
Why do we buy super fast cars? We can just buy a simple car. We're just going from A to B, but we get the nice car because we want the nice car. So, it's good. I mean, it benefits the protocol. I'm going to be really interested to see at the end of mint phase what the total, minting, amount minted between them all is. I think there was 20 LFGs legendary. Excuse me, minted. On day
15
one.
of those, 15 of those was the HLX style though, which we can kind of go over as well if you want.
Yeah, we'll do that. That was super cool. I think it was good to get the system moving just straight away.
Yes. That jump started everything. We were able to get LP creation going like within minutes of the protocol launch. So that was very beautiful to see. Yep.
Yeah, because I know you guys were going to do it. If you guys have been paying attention, there was the DAO vote on it for the Helios Treasury. So I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't realize it would happen so like straight away. So when I checked Big Screen and I saw, hold on, all the LPs have been created, like elements pumped, I was like, what this quickly? And then I went to the actually it wasn't until I got home I realized that it was the treasury that minted a bunch. So that was cool to see.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Let's get into the details, guys. The details between all the different NFTs. I assume most people here to see essentially this bit here. This is like one of the main bits that people want to see. So as I said, there were three types. I put them up here as tiers, but they're types. Same thing. And then yeah, you got the different NFTs between them. So what we'll do is we'll just look at the base one to start with, and hopefully, you know, as a viewer, you can see what changes between them. So this is just the basic one, and you'll see this principle run for the rare and the legendary as well. Okay, so it's the same principles between them, but the cost basis is different. So the mint cost is 100 million Titan X, no amp cost, and total cost then therefore is 100 million Titan X. You get the backing is 1-to-1 in terms of your cost basis, so you get 100 million stacks in a backing. And with the common NFT, you simply get a 1x multiplier.
So it's like the same cost basis as if you were minting tokens. You know, like one for one. If you minted 100 million Stax tokens, it would cost you 100 million Titan X. So it'd be the exact same.
I'm thinking of some strategies there actually. Maybe if you wanted to play the compound game, it would make sense to mint the base. I'll call them the base type, like the common or the rare, simply because you get a 1-to-1 backing. Then perhaps if Stax token pumps, you can claim the NFT and re-compound it back into more. And then perhaps what you could do, not financial advice of course, but towards the end of the mint phase, once you've compounded your position up, you can just, if you want to go for that super or that LFG, you know, go for it. I think we could see something like that. I mean, most people are right now minting the other ones, but it's just a little strategy I thought of. Yep. And then we've got the amps. So for those around an E280, it's basically the same idea here as E280. So mint cost 100 million, amp cost. So now you're paying 10%. Yeah, you're paying 10%. Yeah, 10% of the mint cost in Titan X. So you're paying an extra 10% to get this amped version of the NFT. That obviously puts the total cost up. Okay, so you're going to pay 10% more. The backing is the same. So this is now not 1-to-1 territory. You're playing, if you're basically, the bottom line is if you're doing these amped versions, you're doing it for the rewards and for a longer term mindset. That's the idea behind it. So your backing is the same as the normal one, but this is the juice, this is the masala, this is the spice. Reward multiplier goes up. So that's a 20% increase.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're paying 10% extra on the cost, but you're getting 20% boost in rewards. So that if you're never selling the NFT, then you don't really care about the backing as much. You want the higher rewards. So you're getting a better cost basis on your rewards, but lower cost basis on your backing, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, lower cost basis on the backing, but you get more rewards. So yeah, if you're in it for the long game, if you're just here to mint NFT and you're gonna hold it, you know, diamond hand the NFT for the cycle or for a couple cycles or however long you want to diamond hand it, and you have a kind of a plan with that, then yeah, you go for these amped versions or the super versions. And then we'll look at the super. So I tried to follow the color scheme in the white paper. I kind of got there a little bit. Yeah, you kind of see the LFG.
Nice. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, same mint cost. So the mint cost will be the same, but it's this amped cost that changes, and the reward multiplier corresponds to that change. So you're going to now pay 20% more in the amps, which is going to put your total cost up to 120 million Titan X. Backing stays exactly the same, okay, but your reward multiplier 40% increased from the standard one. You know, so you only need to pay 20% more for a 40% bigger stake in the pool, right? 40% bigger share of the rewards. So you can think of it like that. Yeah, I love this change. I actually really like the change with adding more NFTs. It kind of creates a more flexible system for users to play with, you know. Cool. And then we've got the LFG. So the LFG is the let's effing go. I'm trying to keep things PC. Yeah, so common LFG.
Sorry, you should warn me because I'm not very PC.
No, that's fine. You can go. You can go however you want to go. It's cool.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, mint cost 100 million Titan X, AMP cost 50 million, and total cost. So you're paying 50%. 50% of the mint cost now you're paying to AMP. And this is the top tier, and that gives you the total cost 150 million. NFT backing still 100 million, but now you have a 100% increase in your reward multiplier. So you got 2x instead of a single 1x. That's really cool, actually. So basically, there's no point of getting two commons because you pay 200 million. You might as well get common LFG. What do you think?
Well, again, if you're gonna burn it a week later, then there is a point to get just two regulars, because you're getting very little. If you're only holding it for one reward cycle, does that 2x matter? Like, are you getting your 50% extra cost back in ROI? You know, like, to get that
Yeah.
ROI, I think you would have to hold it for multiple cycles. So
I think
it, it
yeah, definitely.
it's just, yeah, it's up to the user. How long do you think you're going to hold this NFT? That's really the question. If you think you're going to diamond hand, then the LFG is absolutely your best cost basis to reward. But if you think you're going to sell a week later, then you would probably just want a regular. Or maybe you want to hold it for just, 3 months, and then you're going to burn your NFT. Then maybe you want the amped version. Like, really what I wanted is that speculation play. Like,
Yeah, that's a really
nobody
interesting
knows
speculation.
nobody knows how much you're going to get in rewards, or how long are other people going to hold, because if they're all burning, then your rewards are going up too anyways. And there's
a lot to play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, the system has a lot more game theory to it if you think about it, right? Like your mint cost would be lower for the same amount of reward multiplier, but the backing is less.
Yes.
So if you were to just mint two common NFTs, the backing would be 200 million Titan X.
Yep.
But the reward would be 2x, but you're paying 200 million Titan X, right? So you're paying more for the same amount of rewards, but you get the one-to-one backing. However, if you're in the game for a longer time and you don't care about claiming anytime soon, and you want to get your payouts for a lower cost basis, then this will technically be a lower cost basis per share if you look at it that way, because you're paying 150 million for a 2x multiplier. So it's a lower cost basis per share, but if you're claiming, if you want to claim the NFT and stuff, then wow, there's a lot of interesting elements to this, indeed.
Yes. And
I
we
feel
try
like
to keep it simple, but if you really dive into it, it can get complex on your strategy on how do you want to play this protocol can be, you can really get into the math of it and, and do some calculations for yourself, but it all depends on how you want to play the game, and that was the idea of amplifying to begin with E280 is like, we wanted to play to the people, the short-term players that want to just compound, they can do that. And then the long-term players, how do we boost their rewards? Well, let's give them this increased in rewards, but not increased backing. So it doesn't make sense to compound an LFG in this sense, right? Because you're not getting any additional backing. So you're only minting the LFG if you're one of those diamond hand players. So now we've got an option for the compounders, and we've got an option for the diamond handers. And with Stax, we just expanded it. Maybe you're somewhere in between. Like, maybe you're not sure if you want a diamond hand or compound. Well, then you can kind of do an amped or a super, and that's where it gets complex with, like, how do you want to play this game, and how do you have to speculate on what the rewards are going to look like, how long you think you're going to hold, what is the price of the token going to look like in however many months, like
and how
lots of
much
ways to play.
how much the price of the NFT could be on like OpenSea or something, right? Like
Yeah.
that's another kind of speculation. That's so cool. I'm glad you said it like that, because it's good for people to hear that it's flexible for everyone. You know,
Mhm.
if you're just here, you want lower risk, and you want a one-to-one backing, or you're just a short-term player, you want to play some compound games or something, then honestly, just go for the base. That's what my non-financial advice would be. And then
Yeah.
if you're going for the LFG, then that means you're diamond handing the system. You want to hold these NFTs for, in my opinion, it'll be smart to hold them for the next cycle, because who knows when the system really starts to kick off, how it looks. And then yeah, you got the in between ones. So I have a feeling actually what we might see is common and the LFG, a common NFG in terms of the common NFTs, may be the most minted, because it just speaks to the two
Yeah.
people who are playing the system, and then you might get like just you know a lot lower participation, perhaps. This is just a bit my prediction in the AMS or Super. That might be what we see.
It's pretty interesting looking at the stats. Like, it's different for common, rare, and legendary. Um, the primarily it is LFG. It's most people that have minted are diamond hand players, from what I've seen here. As far as the legendary tiers go, there's zero regular, zero amped, zero super. There's only been LFGs minted. So
I feel
that's
like, yeah, I feel like with with the legendary, it's obviously people with bigger bags, and they may
longer
have a
term
longer term
players. Yeah,
players, yeah. So it kind
that
of
makes
makes
sense.
sense that, yeah,
Hmm.
it makes sense that they're going to be mostly in this LFG category.
Like
So
with the rares, it's still primarily LFG, 58 minted LFG. But then like the regular is 9, amped is 7, the super is 10. So that's a pretty even spread across the other three tiers,
mhm,
which is interesting to see. That shows that there is a market for each tier.
there definitely
There's
is, yeah.
yeah,
I can imagine, someone out there forming complex strategies, maybe like Marco or someone with a
yeah,
whiteboard with a bunch of multipliers and ratios and, you know, backings and multiply, what I mean? Multipliers and backings and, drawing all the stake pools and connecting them to the dots. Maybe even Jake.
yeah.
um, so yeah, for those unfamiliar with E280, the rare would be, the base rare would. Ooh, I move that. The base rare works the same way as the base rare did in by base I just mean the basic one in Element 280. So the rare mint cost, and this is true for all of the different types, would be 1 billion. So that is 10x the mint cost of a common, but the reward multiplier is 10x. So, as I said at the start when I was looking through them, I said they all function the same,
Hmm.
and this gamifies the system. It allows users to choose what they want. Do they want to mint just one NFT, or do they want to mint, for example, 10 commons, right? Because it's going to cost the same and it's the same rewards. And then you have the game plan of being able to, I think, dude, maybe lagging, maybe it's me. If everyone can hear me in the comments, let me know. But yeah, you get the game theory of, let's say you mint 10 commons, you can then choose to burn them over time without completely losing your position. So yeah, I don't know if we got a dude, but I'm gonna carry on
Yeah,
going.
yeah. Sorry, I'm here.
Yeah,
It's me
yeah.
lagging. But yeah, like to put it simply, one legendary equals 10 rares, which equals 100 commons. So it's simply just to make it ease of for the user. Like if you're a whale, we didn't want you to have to mint 100 common LFGs. You can just mint the one legendary LFG. You're getting the exact same cost, the exact same reward ratio, It's just simply to not have to manage 100 NFTs. And by doing that, we are allowing the smaller players to still come in and participate with just 100 million.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say this now so people understand. Is there gonna be, let's say you did mint 100 commons? How does that look in terms of the gas? Because I think some people may still not understand that. I've seen some people on Telegram. So, what is the gas?
Do not recommend it. I do not recommend it.
There you go. You heard it from the man himself. Yeah, because if you mint 100 commons, you're claiming rewards from 100 NFTs. So the gas cost is going to scale with how many NFTs you're claiming from. So yeah, back to all of that.
Because it has to loop through and check every NFT. So if you're claiming rewards on 100 NFTs, it has to loop 100 times to calculate your total reward and pay you, which is excessive. Yeah,
I can imagine some perhaps slightly traumatized hexagons getting some, when they're claiming their stakes on ETH. And it is super expensive. I can imagine them having some PTSD flashbacks. So,
but 10 rares was acceptable. Like if you don't want to do one legendary, 10 rares was still acceptable. But 100 commons just got out of control. So
yeah, 100 commons that's pretty crazy. Yeah, so this is basically self-explanatory from this point here. Mint cost 1 billion. Backing is going to be 1 billion stacks. Like we said before, it's 1-to-1. And reward multiplier is now 10x. You pay 10x more, but you get 10x the multiplier. It scales. Let's look at the amped. Again, this should now, I took more time in the commons because it's really self-explanatory. Once you understand the common system, the rares and legendaries are going to basically function the same, just different cost basis. So your the amp cost to get the amped NFT is going to be 10% what you paid on the mint. So it's 100 million in Titan X. And then obviously your total cost therefore is 1.1 billion. NFT backing though remains 1 billion. Same for as it works in the commons. And you get a 20x, 20%, not 20x, you get 20% extra on your multiplier. So again, same system, you pay 10% more, but you get 20% more shares in the rewards pool. So that is self-explanatory. At the end of the stream, guys, I will show you these NFTs because I think it's good to actually see them. I like the look of them personally. And then we've got the supers. Same thing here. You pay 20% more now. Same backing, 1 billion, but then you get a 40% extra reward, okay, in the multiplier. So you get a 14x multiplier in the rewards pool. And the LFG, you pay 50% more, but you get a 100% increase in your rewards. So this would be 1 billion mint cost, 500 million amp. I should have put Titan X there, but it's 500 million Titan X you pay for the amp, and then on the amp cost here, but you end up total cost will be 1.5 billion. NFT backing is still 1 billion, but the rewards is like this. So I think hopefully the people understand that. If you just joined, then yeah, perhaps just go back. We went in detail on that. I don't want to go into detail on everyone because people who are watching were we've kind of gone through this. And the legendaries, I'll quickly go through the first one in a bit more detail because this is going to be the most different from the rares. Yeah, you get 10 billion on the mint cost instead of, so this is now your basically 100x more cost. Okay, so the common was 100 million, now you're paying 10 billion, so it's 100x more cost. The legendaries, obviously, like I said before, these are going to be mostly minted by long-term holders. So I'm going to be very interested to see, or bigger players. So I'm going to be very interested to see what these stats look like at the end of the mint phase here. So simply 10 billion mint cost. You don't pay anything on the amp here. So your total cost remains 10 billion. NFT backing 1-to-1 with your Titan X here. So it's going to be 10 billion stacks. and then the reward multiplier is 100x what you would have got for common. So it's 100x reward multiplier basically, and the same exact thing in all of these, exact same system. I'm going to quickly just run through the amped cost here because the mint cost stays the same. So you're paying 1 billion on the amped here. Total cost will be 11 billion, but you get 20% more. I keep saying 20x. You get 20% more reward multiplier. So that's 120x in total. Dude, you know your muted, yeah? I think he knows. Cool. And then yeah,
Yes.
super.
My cat is trying to talk, so I was trying to save the.
If you want to jump in at any point and say something, then just feel free. And then the supers, again, exact same thing. So amp cost is going to be 2 billion here, and that means the total cost is 12 billion. So we're getting into high cost territory. So again, whale games, NFT backing will be 10 billion, and the reward multiplier is 40% more than the standard one, and the LFG stats work exact same as all the other ones. So now you're paying, total cost is 15 billion Titan X. This is the most expensive NFT we have seen so far across all of the NFT ones, including E369 and Element 280. And yeah, 5 billion is the amped cost here. And yeah, backing's the same here, and you get 200x multiplier in total. So you're getting 100% more multiplier than the common type. And like Dude said before, we have seen so far in the legendaries, so everyone's minted in LFG. Is that what it is? What's that?
Yeah, 20 LFGs minted, 0 supers, amps, or the base. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that might be what
LFG or bust.
That's it, man. People, man, they're just let's F and go, man. That's how it is. LFG, let's go. I like the name. It gets you hyped up. You go into mint, you see the LFG, you're like, bro, come on, let's go, man.
Yeah.
It embodies the spirit of the NFT.
Cool. It does, and the pictures, I feel like kind of, with Element 280, we tried to like paint a little story, and I feel like with Stax we kind of did the same, and I really like how they came out with it. Obviously it's just a picture. Really the functionality is the rewards and the backing and all that, but it's still cool to have a cool picture.
It's a psychological factor, isn't it? Like when you see something that just looks nice.
Yeah.
There's something in philosophy with the value we give to beauty. Mm-hmm. Like we give beautiful things for some reason. The function can be the same, but we just give beautiful things some more value. Like a butterfly. If a butterfly is flying around you, you're not running away. But if a moth is flying around you, you're like, oh my god, it's like the same thing. Just one has nice looking wings,
That's funny. So, yeah,
it's true. It's like an underrated thing, if something looks good, then we just give things value. So that's why I'm super happy with how the NFTs look. I really like it. Cool. There we go. That's kind of the main things with the NFTs. So we're going to move on to, I think it's the distribution. Let me just find it, because this is kind of the hidden source, the hidden spice behind the system here is the Titan X distribution. So let's get into it. I put the distribution into 2 stages. I think we would agree with that. There's basically the LP creation, which happened very quickly right at the start. And then it goes into this stage 2, which we'll get into more detail in this other bit. But yeah, so there's kind of 2 stages. Stage 1's already completed. So this was the LP creation for the Stax token. And this, well, actually it was for Stax and Element, by the way. So this was super cool. So basically all the Titan X /ETH, should have put /ETH, that comes in for mints, ETH gets converted to Titan X, and this gets fed into this system here. So the first pit was just creating their LPs, and this is why we saw such an increase in the Element price yesterday, because essentially all the Titan X has to, well, not all of it, but a lot of it has to go into buy up Element. So that's why Element had a nice pump yesterday, which is good for volume and everything. And that gets split like this. So the Titan X flows into this, and you get this split between the Element X28 pair and the Stax Element pair. So bro, I'm super happy with the Element X28 liquidity right now. It's looking super juicy.
Yeah,
Just
and
kind of like this.
we felt like that was necessary. The LP existed already, but we're routing our buy and burn. You know, the buy and burn is X28 buys Element, and that Element buys Stax. So we wanted to make sure that that X28 Element pair was thick enough to where the buy and burn could run smoothly through that. So that's why we ended up deciding to add to that existing pair. Yeah, and it's now right up there with Titan X itself. Those are like two of the top pairs. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so cool because I feel like the Element liquidity was already really nice. I really liked it. And this just adds to it. It just makes it even better. And think of it like this, guys. Like the Element X28 pair is, if you hold X28 to be 1-to-1 to Titan X, then you've kind of, let's say Titan X to Element pair is 100K in dollar value. If this is 100K in dollar value as well, then you've essentially got 200K of liquidity in Titan X, if you think of it from that perspective, right? So yeah, this is super good. I really like this because that's the base level, right? That's like the base level.
Yeah, like I'm wondering, most arbitrage bots route through, they go in and out through the Titan X pair. So I'm curious if they start utilizing the X28 pair for arbitrage as well. Because like you're saying, you can pretty much interchange Titan X and X28. It's stayed pegged 1-to-1 for pretty much the life of this X28 token, which has been great to see. Like that's what we want to see it at, that 1-to-1 ratio.
And I think Jake may have mentioned that he's gonna add a wrapped ETH to X28 pair. Maybe I think he mentioned that.
Okay, that would make sense. It would, because like I said, it's interchangeable. Like, so that ETH pair would make sense there. Yeah.
And I guess that would allow the arbitrage bots to do more trading on this pair, right? Because they can just swap straight to ETH. So yeah, I definitely think if that does get created, and when that gets created, the arbitrage you'll notice on this pair will be increased quite a lot.
Yeah.
With the bots. And then so basically just, I mean, this has already happened, guys, but just to make it quick. So all the Titan X that gets into creating this pair gets split basically like this. So 50 billion of that was converted into X28, and then 50 billion Titan X went to buy up Element. So that's why we saw like a nice spike in price. And then those funds get added to the Element X28 pair, essentially. That's basically what happened. So you kind of have the same amount of Titan X energy going into both, and then that gets added into the Element, which is a lot. That's a lot of Titan X if you think about, right? 100 billion. That's a lot of Titan X.
And the 50 billion going to convert to X28, we didn't market by that. We actually ran it through the mint function. So 25 billion Titan X got burned in that process, and 25 billion went to the X28 buy and burn. So
sweet, there you go. So 25 billion gets burnt, and that buy and burn, yeah, that's nice. That's cool to see. And I believe the rewards gonna function the same, like the rewards that come out in Titan X.
It depends on the price. If the ratio is 1-to-1, then yeah, we're just gonna convert it through the X28 protocol. But if for any reason, if the price is like 0.5, then it wouldn't make sense to mint 1-for-1, because we could go on market and get 2-for-1. So it's built into the smart contract. It'll check what's the better ratio, or what's the it'll take either route depending on whatever is best for the users or best for the protocol.
That's sick. So you basically got a smart contract that will be playing the X28 arbitrage game, in a sense, right? Like either it's
Right.
gonna
Yeah.
mint,
Because
yeah.
yeah, and like if in it's gonna help keep X28 at that 1-to-1 ratio. Because if it falls below that, now we are market buying X28, pushing that back up to that 1-to-1 ratio. And then
Mhm.
once it hits that, now we're just running it through the protocol again.
That's
So
super smart, yeah.
it's very big for the ecosystem. It's very important to keep X28 at that 1-to-1 ratio, to keep that those small arbitrage plays hidden, constantly
Mhm.
burning tight necks. So I think we're
Yeah,
going to be a very big contributor to like the health of the ecosystem through this functionality.
100%. I hope other protocols do that as well. They're doing X28 conversion. It's I think that's something Jake wanted.
Mhm.
Jake wanted people to either market buy or do the conversion because it keeps the ratio, the mint cost, arbitrage game there. And now we have that in smart contract. So yeah, super bullish for
Yeah,
the
I
whole
see the
ecosystem.
vision.
Yeah.
You know,
And then the Stax element pair, and we'll show this in later on. The LP is super thick already.
Mhm.
It's super cool. One thing, by the way, with people when they're checking like LPs, I've noticed some people they just look at the dollar value. Sometimes when you have a token with a lower market cap, um, what I tend to look at is what's the percent of that token that's in the LP. Because obviously when that token rises up in price, that LP, even though maybe like it will look like 20K, that can get super big, thick from a dollar value perspective very quickly. So the way I look at these LPs is I look at it based off the percent of the token that's in there, and that's just how I look at things. Yeah, just for a little tip for people when they're looking at them, because I've seen some people complaining that, oh, Element has low LP, you know. Um, check out the Taurus tweet that Cryptographics did on market cap to LP. You have to understand that the LP, there's a ratio with the market cap. So if you get a certain percent of the coins in the LP, then to me that's the main thing I'm looking at, because then that kind of helps that ratio.
plus with Element, there's 26 pairs. So like if you wanted to look at true liquidity, you would need to add up all 26 pairs, and that's the actual liquidity.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the Titan X pair. So like Titan X is like 100K, but in actuality, like there's like 400K in liquidity if you
Yeah,
add up all of them.
and
So
I'll show this again later. If you go to the Element website and you're looking at the pie chart, and you see that, for example, you might see 1 or 2 or 3% Element is in the LP. What you should do is get rid of the burn, get rid of the amount burn, okay, of supply, because then you can actually see how much Element is really in the LP percent from a percent perspective. You can actually see what percent of all Element that could possibly come into existence, either if it's NFT backing or liquid, is actually in the LP, and it's super thick. It's super good. So the LP on Element is super amazing, and that was even before this LP position got added, right? So now it's even more beautiful. It's even more better. And I did the maths on it like a week ago or something, looking at the market cap to LP ratio. Basically piggybacking off what Cryptographics put out. I wanted to check that. It's super good. The ratio is beautiful. It's actually really good. So yeah, I don't want to see any LP liquidity FUD from anyone. If you've
right.
watched the stream, no more FUD, please. It's super good. Um, yeah. So basically, this functioned in this way here. So the Stax element pair, I believe it worked like this. So the Titan X got split this way. 100 billion. Is this right? 100 billion to buy element. 100 billion
Yeah,
in
we so
Stax.
we yeah we minted 100 billion in Stacks. That's a one-time mint on Stacks, and just matched it with the 100 billion, uh, the element that we purchased with 100 billion Titan X. So
So guys, yeah. think about this, right? 100 billion Titan X bought Element yesterday just for this pair, and 50 billion for the other pair. So you had 150 billion Titan X buying Element, and that's just for the LP creation.
Yep.
Like that's why we saw a huge, beautiful increase in price on Element with the ratio and everything. So yeah, just in case people are wondering why that massive spike happened, that's the reason. And yeah, I'm super happy with this LP. I think it's amazing. It's super thick. Is it? I think it might be the thickest one, or one of the thickest ones.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, it's so cool. So cool to see. Cool. So yeah, that was stage one. Okay, so that was LP creation. That happened very quickly, way quicker than I expected, and that's because the Helios Treasury went and minted a bunch of NFTs, which just forced the system to get going very quickly. And then stage two is this. So this is really the what the system is ultimately designed for, is buying and max staking tokens. I'm interested to see, dude, when Element came out. I know you're saying that there was a increase in the price of a bunch of tokens in the Build on Titan X ecosystem. Do you expect there to be a similar, you know, increase in price here because we are buying those tokens?
It really just depends on sellers, you know. Like I think a lot of people saw how Element 280 worked, and they saw how it affected the ecosystem. And I am suspecting people are expecting this with Stax, and so I think there was a lot of people buying Blaze and Flux and these staking tokens, and are potentially going to sell into. To be honest, I haven't looked at the charts on any of these tokens, but I mean, it is buy pressure with zero sell pressure. Like there's no doubt Stax added buy pressure to all of these tokens. The question is how many users were expecting that, and how many people sold into it or are selling into it. That is the question, you know, because we've also got like Phoenix is buying up Flux and Blaze as well. So like it's really hard to gauge the effect of Stax alone with some of these other
Yeah,
protocols that are coming in there as well.
it would be super cool if I realized I say cool a lot, by the way. I don't know why I do. I just say it a lot. It would be super awesome if you know, Stax and Phoenix, these protocols coming out that are buying ecosystem tokens, if and Matrix as well, I believe, if they cause a almost reversal, because if bot protocols go up in price, um it's a very good positive for Titan X, right? Because ultimately if these protocols go up in price, then people see green candles, and if people see green candles on, for example, Hyper or Flux, then people buy green candles, right? It's the best marketing. So it'll be cool to see if the bot, the whole Build on Titan X ecosystem rises, and if that drags up Titan X with it. You know, I think we may have seen that with Dragon X. I think with Dragon X, like if you know Eric's doing all this marketing for Dragon X, and if these KOLs are tweeting about it, then ultimately people have to buy Titan X first to get those Dragon X, right? So I think I would love to see us reverse this kind of sideways action with these protocols that are now buying up these ecosystem tokens, because people might anticipate it, like you said. So let's say you anticipate it, you got a bunch of ETH, you buy Titan X and you buy these tokens. May happen, or may not, but that's a bit of speculation.
Yeah.
And yeah, so stage two, I've kind of put it in this separate thing because this is you know one good thing, by the way. So we are gonna do the stream earlier, but it got cancelled because I was a bit unwell. The good thing about doing it now is we have the percentages for what we're buying here. So I previously couldn't add them, but now we can add them and we can discuss, you know, why these percentages are the way they are. So again, guys, this is just feeding off this bit here. So people mint with Titan X or ETH, and that Titan X and ETH now, because the LP creation is done, it's going to all go into this stage two. And this goes like this. So you're going to get a bunch of Titan X here, and it's going to buy, okay, it's going to buy all these ecosystem tokens. And the percentage of Titan X that goes into buying these tokens looks like this. So Hyper has 30% of the Titan X that goes in. It's going to buy Hyper, 10% for Helios, 20% for Flux, and so on. And then these tokens get max staked. So that's basically buy pressure, that's locking away, all these tokens, and a lot of these tokens are deflationary and hybrid, or well, they're inflationary, but it's they have deflationary aspects to them because the amount you can get per day goes down, etc. Right? So yeah, that's super cool because you're just buying a bunch of supply. And Hyper's having a lot of supply coming out right now, like other tokens, right? I think Helios might be close to almost fully, like everything minting coming out soon. So it's a good time. It's a good time to buy these tokens.
Not financial advice.
I mean, in the sense of the protocol buying the tokens. That's right. Not financial advice, yeah. Not financial advice, of course, but it's a good time for the protocol to come up buy these tokens because we're kind of at a supply distribution top right now for some of these. For example, like Helios right now. And yeah, if we just buy a bunch of it and stake it, then that's super cool. Takes it out of the hands of people, puts it in the hands of contracts, the machines, as Marco would say.
Yes.
And yeah, so yeah, that's super cool. And Helios, guys, Helios is in here. What happened? What happened with this? Because I know there was some DAO, voting here. So
yeah,
for people who don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we have a whitelist. Like, we by default block smart contracts from getting in the Helios staking pool, and the idea behind that was like we don't want protocols showing up unless we decide it's okay. So that's kind of that's basically the basis of it. Like, if we felt like there's a vampire protocol in some form or fashion, we could just not allow it and they couldn't come in. But if we decide there's a protocol that is supporting the ecosystem, then we just go to a vote, everybody says yes, and we whitelist them and everything works simply, so that's kind of what we did. And we had a discussion about including Helios, and we felt like this is good for the ecosystem because, like you said, this is all buy pressure with zero sell. This is locking them up forever. So that supports us. And then it got a little more complex when we decided, in our treasury we can mint Stax NFTs, and now we have a V2 staking contract coming out. So HLX stakers are now going to be earning X28 in addition to their Titan X and ETH. Lots of great things coming on that's not specific to Stax, but more the Helios ecosystem. But yeah, ultimately we wanted to be involved. We wanted to stay relevant and be included in what's going on with Stax and keep the name out there and let people recognize like we're still there, we're still doing it. And like it's all connected. Like Helios is a beneficiary of Element 280, so if it, and Stax is supporting Element 280. So as long as Stax is doing well, Element 280 is doing better. Helios is getting additional payouts from that. So it's really tightly knit to like supporting all of it. So it just made sense to include it.
It made sense, yeah.
And we did go with a lower percentage just to like kind of dip our toes in there. We started at a baseline of 20%, and then we decided, Hyper has the largest payout coming in up front, so we decided, like let's go in larger with that Hyper initially, and then it just made sense. Well, we'll just back Helios down to 10%, move Hyper up to 30%. And then with the other three protocols, we decided, we'll just keep that even spread of 20%. And that's kind of how we got to that allocation.
Okay, nice. Yeah. No, I'm super glad that, the Helios DAO and the community voted to include this one, because I was watching the DAO discussion, and it was someone raised a point. It would have been quite funny, right, if you released a protocol that's when it been stake pools, but then it's not in your own your other protocol.
Right.
So yeah, no, I'm super happy to see that got voted. Was it a pretty unanimous decision?
It was, yeah. There's quite a few whales in HLX, so it's there's like 5 people that are really deeply entrenched in HLX that have a much larger say than the general community, but they were all participating, so it was still unanimous. Like, I mean, the chats, in Telegram, everybody's happy. I try to do sentiment checks with people, and everyone's very happy with the direction that we're going with the Helios DAO, and they're happy to have Stax involved, especially like you said, because it's something I'm putting out to market, so it makes sense to include my own other projects. So yeah.
Yeah, people may have missed this in the last stream we did, but basically dude mentioned at the end of the stream this may be happening. It had to go up to a vote, and you are releasing the V2 staking contract on Helios, so I believe those work kind of hand in hand with the Stax position, if that's right.
Yeah. The first thing we're gonna do is take the X28 that we're getting from our Stax NFTs, and we're gonna deposit those into the V2 staking contract. So now we're getting an endless drip of X28 coming in, and that's feeding our HLX stakers. So there's just going to be an additional claim button. You'll have your regular claim of ETH and Titan X from the staking V1, and then there's going to be a V2 claim that's claiming your X28. And that's set up to where, like, if we start earning Inferno tokens, we can deposit Inferno tokens in there as well and pay stakers in Inferno. Any ERC20 is designed to pay out our stakers. So
cool. Yeah. So Helios has plans of expansion.
Yeah. Right? We want to be like the go-to for staking. Like, I mean, wouldn't it be great to stake HLX and earn like 10 different tokens in the ecosystem? I think that would be really cool to see.
Yeah. No, I think the vision there is awesome. Like, HLX will be like the de facto staking, right? Like, in terms of you can just earn anything potentially. Yeah. So I see the vision. I do see the vision, and then the Stax will provide that, because the Stax earns the X28. So that's basically how it works.
Yeah, because in all future treasuries, I envision supporting the stakers and the buy and burn. So if we're earning, if we create another treasury, like I said, that earns Inferno, however that happens, we can now use the Inferno to buy and burn HLX, and then we can also use Inferno to just directly pay stakers. So now we're supporting both sides of the ecosystem.
So, nice. Yeah. So anyone in the Helios game, or potentially want to get in the Helios game, you got some more alpha there basically. So that's cool. It gives more people reasons to buy Helios. So I think it's great for Helios, because they can buy and stake. So,
and we're seeing some action in the charts there too. So I think some people are drawing their own conclusions and deciding to get into HLX.
Yeah, so I've been seeing on the Helios bubbles been looking as a big as of recent. So yeah, people are clocking onto it. That's good to see. And so with the other protocols you're gonna have is Blaze, Eden, and Ouroboros. We don't know the percent Ouroboros yet, so I guess that
once we introduce it into there, we'll make that decision at that point, what makes the most sense, because obviously we have to pull a percentage from somewhere else to include it. We can only get to 100%, so we'll kind of make those decisions as they come. There's no point in speculating. Like, we'll see when the time comes what's best for the protocol.
Yeah, it all relates back to that first point right at the start of the stream. It's adaptable, so these percentages can change, and they can be adjusted to get the best rewards in whatever's currently paying the best rewards. So 20% between these, and then this is interesting, right? So how come I think I put forget that. I think I put this, but I think it's actually 0%, right? Into Titan X. Yeah. What was the reasoning behind
that? There's a lot of competition for Titan X stakes. lots of competition, and we decided, like, why fight that? Why try to fight all these other protocols trying to get their position on it, Helios included? We would be fighting Helios, his treasury. Like, so we just decided, what, like, let's let them have it, and we'll move on to the newer protocols, and just try to stay relevant in that way. Now we did launch the Titan X staking contract, so at any point we can allocate to it if we decide it makes sense. If mining comes back and rewards pools start filling up and like ETH's just flying around everywhere, we can just simply add a percent allocation to that and start getting into that and dip our toes in there. But as of right now, we decided, what, let's not fight other protocols. Like Phoenix just launched, and they're fighting for that Titan X stake position. So we decided, what, like, let's let them have that. But we're remaining open to it. So
yeah, I agree. I think that makes sense, right? And I mentioned this briefly at the start that right now, obviously the ecosystem in total is down, and you may think that these other protocols have low participation, but when things do kick off, it's still up to speculation. But these protocols, the amount that they're paying out, because a lot of them paying out in Titan X as well, the payouts in there could be ridiculous. Especially if it's in Titan X. Guys, we got Jake. I was on full screen, so I couldn't see the chat. We got Jake in the chat here, so it's good to see Jake here. That's awesome to see. Thank you for popping by. I don't know if he's still here, but yeah, thank you for popping by, and he's giving his respect to Dude Man. So there you go, from the man himself.
Yeah. I mean, I showed this to him, when we were launching, was like, does this make sense to you? And as far as like the X28 integrations, and he loved it, and I was like, okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure we were on the same page here, because like the way I see this is very beneficial to X28, which is beneficial to the whole ecosystem, and we've already seen like 50, 100 billion, a ton of Titan X has already been burned through the Stax protocol. That's one thing I've been meaning to add on the stats page, is how much are we running through the X28 protocol. We need to get that stat up there sooner than later.
That'll be a cool stat to even add. Yeah, on the was that you said on the website?
Yeah.
That'll be an awesome stat to get on the website there. Kind of boost the morale of the whole ecosystem if people can see, what you're burning. That's that's awesome, guys. If Jake is still here, this is in honor of Jake. Let's drop a 777 in the chat. For those who know, some of you may not know, but if you've been around for a while, let's drop that 77, 777. If you remember Jake's early streams and stuff like that, then that's for that. So yeah, guys, drop us 777 if you're watching for Jake. And
I'm watching. I'll drop it.
There we go. There we got the 777 there. There you go. There we have it, man.
He's in it.
Good old days. That's it. That's it, man. It may be the new updated version, decent crypto there, AAA. Maybe it's a AAA, the new version, but for those OGs around, the 777. Those are good days there, man. Good days. Bear market days, Cool. And then this is super bullish. I put X38. That's not a new protocol, guys. That was meant to be X28. So this is, like you said at the start of the stream, essentially, if any new protocol was to come out on top of Titan X or X28, like Omni-chain, then there will be a percent allocation given to whatever protocol that is, right? As long as it's paying, it's meritocracy, right? Like whatever's paying the best, I presume will get their best percent, and then that applies for whatever new protocols do come out here on X28. That could, obviously for ETH, you guys understand that would work the same. But if you're launching protocols on Solana and they're built on X28 or anywhere, then we're going to be pulling economic energy from all over crypto into NFT holders' hands. I like that.
It's going to be fun. I'm ready for Omni-chain.
I'm so ready.
Yeah. HLX
like,
is in development already right now. It's good times.
well, yeah, it's that kind of like this bit here on the X28 protocols. It kind of feels like a superpower, right? Like the Stax protocol is literally like pulling economic energy from all of crypto. Like, can you imagine like some sort of animation, like all the different chains, and you're just sucking the energy in. It's like a black hole, and then it pays out to everyone who got in the 28 days. Yeah, super cool. And obviously, look, this is speculation. We don't know what's going to launch, but if you're bullish on the ecosystem and where it's going, then yeah, man, that's super cool, super bullish. Right, that's that section, and we get to the juice of the rewards pool now. So, as I've said, you have stakes in various protocols. A lot of these stakes are paying you directly in Titan X, but you may get payouts in X28 as well. So basically, you're going to get these payouts here, okay, from these protocols. And this is going to look like this, okay? So you've got Titan X and X28, and these will be fed into this rewards pool, okay? And then the rewards pool looks like this. So I may have missed the exact percentages of this, so it's good to go through this with you because this may be slightly wrong here. I didn't include the percentages, but from what I gathered from the white paper, you're going to have Titan X and X28 in this rewards pool, and then essentially the Titan X, which will not be allocated to be converted into X28, will be compounded back into those protocols. So there's going to be,
like we're going to do the math. You know, it's starting off at 80% compound. So like, well, right now it's 0% during the mint phase, but after minting, we'll go to 80%. So it'll do the math and just say, okay, 80% gets compounded. We're not doing any conversions there because we need Titan X to buy these ecosystem tokens. That's the main pairs on Blaze and all that is Titan X. So we didn't want to convert that. And that Titan X is not leaving the system. It's you know, just going in to buy these other tokens. But anything else that's anything besides the compound, that is getting converted to X28.
Okay. That makes a lot more sense. You just cleared the brain fog that I had in my brain when I was making this. So yeah, essentially you're gonna have Titan X. You can probably ignore this bit. So you're gonna have Titan X and X28 and a percent of the Titan X. So the auto compound, at least as it stands now, will be only in Titan X, obviously. That makes sense.
Right.
And then I presume whatever's not going into auto compound gets converted into X28.
Yeah, all of it. Cool. Yeah. And if like there's the new staking protocol that is built on X28, that's at that point we'll start some of the auto compound will get converted to X28 so that we can participate in whatever that protocol is. But right now, everything that we're involved in is built on Titan X, so we're not doing any conversions for the compounding side. But but we don't. The idea is we don't want to. We want to lock up and burn as much Titan X as possible. So that's why anything that's not getting compounded, you know, even Genesis, that's everything is 100% converted to X28. So we're trying to contribute to as much Titan X burning as possible.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah. So you just heard it from the man. So any Titan X that's not converted goes into X28. Which is again super bullish. X28 is going to be fed more Titan X, more arbitrage, or more Titan X gets burnt, which is just amazing for the system. Mm-hmm. And even if you're not converting, one thing I didn't realize, if you're buying, that's volume, right? So that's still volume on the LP, and anything that adds to that volume on the LP is super cool for what Eric decides to do with farms. You know, because if that LP is moving crazy, again that's buy and burn on Tink, right? Like LP fees from that will be buy and burn on Tink. So that's one little bit there that you know, it's easy to miss a little detail, but the more protocols we have here that are playing that game between converting and buy pressure, is going to be good for Tink as well. So yeah, and then yeah, so just to try and make it very simple, all the rewards that you get, okay, they're going to be fed into this way. Titan X goes to auto compound. There's a diamond hands pool for payout. Genesis gets a percent cut, and this I'll show you why I haven't put the percentages here. I'm just explaining where they go. We'll look at the percentages in a second. NFT holders get a slice, and buy and burn. Obviously, that will be buy and burn on the Stax coin, and yeah, auto compound. So that's that, and then we'll look at basically this how this works, because there's different phases. So I couldn't put the percentages up here, so I put them into these different phases we have. And this is a very key detail on the protocol, guys, because this will be changing, and it kind of, there's a lot of logic and reasoning behind why they've done it like this. So we'll get into all that now. So basically phase 1 is going to look like this. I should put this as Titan X and X28 just so people don't get confused. Okay, so you're going to have Titan X and X28, and we've got 0% going into auto compound at the start because we're getting Titan X in for mint anyway. So yeah, I see why that's like that. Makes sense, because right now you kind of want, so if you look at these percentages closely, guys, you can see 80% is going to buy and burn. So what that will do is it'll create a lot of buy pressure on the Stax protocol during mint phase, obviously, because more is getting minted, so you want to keep the distribution of supply under control, and that creates an arbitrage, okay, on the price chart. If you have Titan X here, no, you have a element and X Stax here, that buy pressure that's funneling into it, so that X28 is going to buy element, which is going to then buy Stax and burn it. That creates arbitrage. Stax goes up in price, and that's during mint phase, allows people to play that compound game. If they minted something, they can see the backing is way more in terms of the Titan X, the cost basis. So the cost basis, you know, let's say they mint a common, then Stax, let's say now you get 2 times the amount of Titan X. They could decide to burn that NFT and feed it back to mint now 2 commons, right? So this is pivotal, right, in during mint phase. Would you say you agree with that analysis?
Yes, yeah, the buy and burn is integral to pretty much any protocol in the ecosystem. Buy and burn is pretty integral to it, and Stax is no different. So it's important to support that up front primarily, and then like you said, yeah, with mint phase going on, like, you know, this is where all the inflation of the Stax token comes in. So if we have the buy and burn running through that, we can keep that in check. But then once the mint phase is over, that's when we go into phase 2 and change it up.
Yeah. And yeah, I wanted to make it clear that the buy and burn here is on Stax, because there's been some discussion in the telegrams and stuff about buy and burn percentages going towards element and stuff. But no, this is all to Stax.
Yeah, 100%.
So, just so people don't get confused there. Well, we can discuss it later if you want.
Okay,
that kind of thing. I did actually, you know, have the intention to discuss it later.
Cool.
Because it had a lot of discussion, you know, during when the white paper got released. So we'll get to it. And then diamond hand pool. What is this diamond hand pool?
It's really there to, like it's called, it's to support the diamond hand players. This is intended to be a pool that's just get a small drip, 2%, throughout the protocol, and it's just going to continuously build up. And what causes it to pay out is if somebody burns an NFT, it will release 8% of what's in that pool to the other NFT holders that are still there.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah.
So when there's a cycle distribution, which is every 9 days, it'll check, was there an NFT burned in the last 9 days? If yes, then take 8% of this pool and throw that on top of the rewards and pay out everybody. If there was not an NFT burned, then it doesn't do anything. It just keeps building. And then there's a final check. If there's fewer than, I believe it's 12,000 multiplier points, it will disperse the entire pool, 100% of the pool, out to the rest of the users. So the idea is over the years, this is slowly building up and paying out a small portion as others exit the system. And then at the very end, when it hits this small group, who's left, those are the true diamond hand holders. It
Yeah.
pays out 100% of that pool to those people.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really cool. Is that
So
another reason why I did that? I didn't see in the white paper a burn tax on the NFT.
exactly,
So
that's exactly
yeah,
what this is.
yeah. So this kind of compensates for there
Mm-hmm.
being no burn tax on the NFT. Even if you exit, yes, you get back all your backing, but then you're triggering essentially this pool to pay out everyone else. So people who are diamond handing the NFTs, um, you know, everyone who exits, they're going to be paying the diamond hand
Yeah.
holders, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm imagining, if this is anything like E280, there's going to be at least one NFT burned every distribution cycle for the very first several distributions. So this will be basically just adding to the payouts for everybody up front. But I think at a certain point, the burning of the NFTs will slow down, and then we'll start seeing this really, really start to build up. And this is
Mm-hmm.
fed from staking payouts. So at the same time, imagine 9 months from now, all those staking payouts are compounding and building up. The rewards are growing. I could see this diamond hand pool really starting to fill up and then
Mm-hmm.
make a difference. Yeah.
One thing I just realized as well just now is the rewards are paid out in X28.
Mm-hmm.
So we may see an interesting thing happening if people hold a lot of rewards. They could swap back for Titan X during mint phase and then mint more NFTs that way as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really cool, and that adds more volume on the X28 Titan X pair.
Yep.
So yeah, that's another driver of volume because you can convert from Titan X to X28, but you can't convert back. You can't do a conversion from X28 to Titan X. So if you're holding X28, you have to sell it to Titan X. So if there's, if you want to build your position in this Stax rewards pool with your rewards that you're already getting, then you have to drive that volume through that pair, the X28 Titan X pair, which will be good for Tink and good for the ecosystem, creating that arbitrage in that pair there. I didn't realize that I literally just realized that now. So yeah.
Yeah. And like if the ratio gets low, then Stacks will happily buy it off market, and keep that ratio at that 1-to-1 ratio. Like it's
Yeah, it's cool.
win-win.
Assuming that, like we said before, like these payouts are perpetual, they're always going to be there. You
Mm-hmm.
basically have a perpetual system that is going to be keeping that arbitrage and 1-to-1 between X28 and Titan X there. You have basically perpetual buyer or perpetual participant in the X28 protocol. So yeah, super cool. And then you've got Genesis, which gets an 8% cut. And Genesis, you can't have any expectations. I think Genesis is a nice guy, so we'll let him enjoy his life, do whatever he wants to do with what he gets.
Yeah.
And then yeah, NFT holders get a 10% cut. I have seen some people say, this 10% is a bit low. What's your thoughts on the 10% to the NFT holders?
The way I see the buy and burn directly supports NFT holders as well, because you've got Stax tokens backing your NFT. And so if you look at it that way, it's really 90% is going towards the NFT holders, because we're supporting the token price, the Stax token price, and we're paying those NFT holders in X28. And I really wanted to really incentivize people to burn their NFT. Like,
Yeah, it wants that
so
compounding, man.
yeah, it's just like, yeah, I mean, once you burn after the mint phase is over, once you burn it, you can never come back. And if we put a heavy amount into the buy and burn, it's really going to incentivize people to burn their NFT. And that's fine during mint phase because you can just mint another one. But once we get into the next phase of it after minting, like it's really gonna make people think twice about diamond handing their NFT. That's really what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
So,
and then the more people that get kind of lured by the carrot dangling in their face with the buy and burn and their backing, and they go and burn, it triggers this diamond hand pool, and then everyone else who is diamond handing get bigger percentage. Yeah, there's a lot of game, and then the bigger percentage you are, then the bigger slice of the 10% you're getting. So
right, because if we flip that, you know, and the NFT holders were getting 80% and the buy and burn is getting 10%, there's no incentive to burn your NFT. You're like, oh, these rewards are juicy. Like, yeah, I'm never burning this thing. Just keep the X28 coming. But with this setup, the rewards are going to the buy and burn, which is pumping the backing of your NFT. And the only way to cash in on that is to burn your NFT. And so that's really where the, you know, the idea is like, I want to test people's diamond hand capabilities. Can you hold when the backing of your NFT goes up to a certain level? I think a lot of people can't, and they will burn their NFT and sell, and then now your rewards are growing. Like that's the way I see it. Is like your share of the pool is going to continuously go up as other people's exit, and so that 10% is constant, but your share of that 10% is constantly growing.
And you can imagine as this plays out, if a bunch of NFTs do get burnt, then the potential OpenSea value of those, especially those high up NFTs like the legendary LFGs and stuff like that, because they're just so rare, hard to get, and they get so much percentage of the pool like in the future, then the value of those NFTs could be quite big potentially, right? Not financial advice, but potentially. So that's phase one, guys. And then go on.
And just to add to it also, like the buy and burn supports the token itself. So there's people that are not minting NFTs, they're minting just the token. Well, that's really where the liquid staking can come in, because you can just hold the token and get the benefit of these staking payouts because you're getting the price appreciation of a token you're just holding. And in that sense, you can sell those tokens, go participate in another protocol, you know, leverage play, whatever, and then decide to come back and you just rebuy the token itself. And now you're still getting that price appreciation from all the staking payouts because that buy and burn is fed from that. So that's allowing you to get in and out of the ecosystem, but still like getting the benefits of the staking. So
I just put one important point here, and we'll get to this probably more detail in a bit, but this buy and burn, obviously, guys, it has to buy element first. So you've actually also got a huge amount of buy pressure on element. So this supports element very nicely. There's going to be lots of volume, which is what LP web tax protocols want. There's going to be tons of volume on this just because of this buy and burn, you know. So awesome to see. A bunch of element will get burned, a bunch of element will get sent to the HLX treasury. You know, it's going to be awesome. NFT holders will get bigger payouts. So I'm so excited. As an NFT holder of Element, I'm super excited for this one. Cool.
Same.
So then we've got this phase two. So this is kind of the where things change here. To make it very easy for everyone, if you imagine here it's 80% buy and burn, 0% auto compound, this is where the protocol will make a shift. So this happens after mint phase, so after day 28. And this will start off with 80% into the auto compound and 0% allocation to the buy and burn. And then this will change every mint cycle by 2% either way.
Distribution cycle.
That's the right word. Distribution cycle. That's what I'm trying to say. So basically every distribution cycle is 9 days. That's when people get their payout. So after every payout, after every 9 days, you will get this shift. That's why it's called the sliding scale, because this is changing it's sliding, and it's a 2% difference on both sides. So this will go from 80% to 78%. This will go from 0% to 2%, and then every cycle, just distribution cycle, it's just going to carry on with that same pattern until you get to the end here, which will be 20% auto compound and 60% buy and burn. The other percentages don't change. Yeah, the other percentages don't, they're the same. So that stuff is the same as before. There was a lot of discussion about this. What was the reason behind it?
Yeah, so auto compounding, like I was saying earlier, it's that snowball effect. If you're familiar with auto compounding in anything financial, the sooner you start, the larger your position grows over time. Like, it's exponential growth. If you're looking at a long-term play, if you start auto compounding immediately as opposed to a year down the road, it's huge differences. So that's why we're going super heavy in auto compounding up front. But then we're once that snowball starts building up, we don't need to continuously have such a large auto compound amount, so as the snowball is growing, we can allocate less and less to that auto compound and increase the buy and burn from there. Because it just makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense, actually. Like, if you think about it, if you're putting heavy amounts into auto compound, eventually, if you think about the percent of the stake pool you own, it's going to have kind of like less effect over time.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, it just becomes inefficient over time. The bigger your position is, the more inefficient it is for you to just keep on adding, like in terms of the Titan X. So it makes sense to scale that off slowly, and then it routes that scaling off back into the buy and burn. So it just makes perfect sense to me why that change has happened there. Like, if you think about Dragon X, like Dragon X has such a large stake position on Titan X. If you sent 100 billion Titan X to the Dragon X, vault, it's not really going to increase the percent by probably barely anything. Yeah. So even though it looks like a lot of Titan X, the percent isn't going to change much, which means really the amount of economic energy you'll get from that Titan X in the form of payout is going to be, it's not going to be as efficient as it once was, if you look at it like that. So if you look at it as economic energy, right, because that's going to be, staking those tokens is gaining economic energy from those protocols. But then, if it's less efficient, then you're just getting less. For each Titan X you put in, you're getting less reward as a percent type thing. So yeah,
and that's exactly our intention, is not to just completely railroad and take over a staking pool. I mean, obviously we want some level of compounding to build our position, and also by spreading it out across 5 different protocols at launch, and then immediately we'll have 6 and 7 coming out pretty soon. We're spreading it out, so it's not really going all in on any one protocol. We're trying to, what we want is more consistent payouts and have an even spread across all of them. But yeah, like you said it perfectly. Like, once we do like the compounding, we want to go in on that. We want to build our position, but once it's there, it doesn't make sense to keep building it. I do agree that, like, we do want some level of compounding always. We do want it to always grow. And that's why we felt like, 20%, that's not too much, not too little. Like, it's a good amount right there. And then 60% buy and burn at that point is like, that's awesome.
Yeah, 60% is perfect. 60% has kind of become the de facto number in my head, because I think of Titan X as the first one with 60 something percent. Was it 62%? But then it's more because of the burn pool. It kind of feels like the de facto number. It's the, if you're building a protocol in this ecosystem for buy and burn, and that's kind of, in my opinion, that's like the de facto number. That's like the main one, the main number everyone should aim for.
And then you can look at it as like that 60% plus the 10% NFT. That's 70% going to the community. if you look at
Mhm.
it that way.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, so it's yeah, so at the start it's 90% during mid phase, and then it's going to be 70% for the rest of after
I mean,
sliding
the
scale.
compounding supports you as well. It's just way more indirect, but
Yeah, yeah, definitely supports you. I
yeah.
mean, it was great to see that on Element. It really boosted the amount of Titan X that to come into Element
Hmm.
and make those LPs super thick, super nice. So it's great. It was perfect. I think Element played out absolutely amazingly. I loved how it couldn't have gone. In my opinion, it almost couldn't have gone any better. Like, it just works so well. So I
Yeah.
like to see I like to see the same thing here. You know,
Yeah.
cool. And then you get this final state. So this is just after the sliding scale. This will happen day 300 plus, and this will just be the end state of this sliding scale here. So this will end at 20% and 60% here. So that's just what the final state is, and then that's just left rolling as a machine, just the same as it's the same
Unstoppable.
day. Yeah, unstoppable beast.
Yeah.
So yeah, and guys, it is X28 and Titan X. That was a mistake on my end, so it's both. Cool. That's that. What else do we have here? I think all we've got left. I think all we've got left is the bind burn. I didn't break down the bind burn protocol. It's very straightforward. If you're in this ecosystem, you know how these things work. Essentially, there will be an incentive fee for whoever calls it. They get paid some X28, but
It's
they can have.
actually an element 280 that you're getting paid.
Oh, so X28 will buy element.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, important.
100% of the X28 in the pool buys element. And
Oh,
then
okay,
we
that's
pay the
nice.
user an incentive fee in element.
That's super cool. I'll change that here.
Yep.
I will change that on stream. Efficient. There you go. Quick. That's how it looks, guys. Okay, so all the X28 here will buy element. So that's amazing if you're in element. That's buy pressure, that's tax, that's NFT holders will like this. Everyone in element has to like this. You can't not like this. And then that's gonna buy stacks, and then yeah, we're gonna just burn
Nice.
that. Yeah.
100%. Yes.
Yeah. So man, that's cool to see. And that it just brings everything up. I know there's actually some people who watch my streams who they don't understand the whole ecosystem and how these things work. I explained it a little bit earlier. The reason why we have these buy and burns is obviously it reduces supply on the Stax token, which is probably one of the main reasons. But then the other reason is it creates an arbitrage in the price, so it pushes the price of Stax up against Element, and it pushes the price for Element up against Titan or against X28. And essentially, that arbitrage there will it'll be great for people who hold it as a leverage. It's a leverage on anyone who holds this ecosystem, because if X28 or Titan X fly up in price, then you have another leverage on top of that, and it's programmed in. And then during mint phase, that supports the compound game. So that's essentially what we have there, which is super cool. I actually think some of the most successful protocols we've seen in this ecosystem all had this element of compound in them. Even Titan X in the beginning days, those who were there,
Yeah.
you saw how powerful compounding was. It really, it has its drawbacks in the sense that it created lots of inflation, but it just put so much Titan X into buy and burn and ETH into buy and burn and stuff. And we saw the same thing with Element with the compound game. So I love the compound game. Taurus is going to have it as well. So I think these compounding elements, the protocols just boosts it. It's really cool to see. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's most of the information. We're going to get to a little bit of discussion here, basically. So there's been a lot of talk about this during the white paper reveal, which is basically this main question here. A lot of people were talking about this in the Telegram, so I wanted to kind of bring it up here and get a dude's thoughts of it here. And if Utah's in the chat, then Utah can put some stuff in there, or anyone else. This is really a lot of this is going through a lot of people's heads. So the question is, why not give any bind burn allocation to elements? So that's from all of those payouts and stuff like that. Why are we not bind burning element, basically? Yeah, what's your thoughts?
This question came up well before the community asked it. Like Utah and I we did discuss this before that even happened. And really what it comes down to is that 10% has to come from somewhere. We can't pay out 110%, like, so if we allocate 10% to this, where does that 10% come from? It would come out of the Stax buy and burn, probably, if we were going to take it from somewhere. And to me, like, so that was kind of like, that's the initial thought. And then we're thinking about it like, well, how does Stax support Element 280 just on its own? Well, its only pair is through Element 280. So it's going to add tons of volume through E280 on its own. And we saw that with the launch. And we're going to see it. Every payout is going to run, like everything in the buy and burn is going to run through Element 280. And so I feel like just by that alone, we're adding tons of volume. That's adding tons of extra rewards for the NFT holders. It just by adding volume, we're adding additional burn pressure on the token itself.
Mhm.
So it just made sense. Like, by default, it's supporting Element. So why pull an extra 10% away from the Stax buy and burn? That's kind of what my thought was. And some people were like, well, Element 280 burned the whole ecosystem. They had a 10% allocation of that. And nobody's, reciprocating. Nobody's burning Element tokens. And my thoughts on that too is just like, we did that not with the expectation that, hey, we burned your tokens, now I expect you to burn my tokens. Like, that's not how it works. It was more so like, with Element 280, we wanted to get the attention of the entire ecosystem. And what better way to do that? Let's burn everybody's tokens. And I feel like it did. It got everybody's attention. Like, you could see the Element 280 launch, the mint phase, you can see that on everybody's chart. It really got their attention. And now that we've gotten it and Element ecosystem is making a name for itself, I don't feel like it really needed that. Like, I think the Element 280 specifically is already doing wonderfully, and it's just starting, and there's undoubtedly going to be more stuff built on top of Element 280. Like, I think as it stands alone, it is a beast, and so why risk taking extra away from the Stax protocol? If I feel like Element 280 is already set, and it's going to do well, in my opinion. So why not? Why take away from Stax? Like, because I don't see, like, the possibility of someone building on Stax over Element 280, I think, is a lot less, and so we're trying to just put 100% of our focus on supporting the Stax users.
Of course.
And
yeah.
Again, like, the amount of volume speaks for itself, that it's absolutely supporting Element.
Yeah, like, the way I kind of look at it as well is, especially during mint phase, like, the amount of the game, really, the way it looks like it's been set up to me is to compound heavily in Stax. So the more economic energy we can put to move the Stax price, will give people more ability to compound, and ultimately, the more they compound, will almost the sky's the limit, right? How much possible Titan X could come into the Stax protocol, and I think that should be their main focus for Stax, simply because the more Titan X we pull in, I'd rather get more Titan X pulled into Stax than a bit of percent allocation to buying Element and burning it, basically. Because I think it's just better for both protocols. If we pull in tons more, tons more Titan X into this, then at the end of the day, it's gonna drive potentially way more volume into Element. If more Titan X comes in, then that's more buy pressure. right? So if we get tons more buy pressure on Element, and people have been saying, yeah, but they might sell into the buy pressure. That's good for Element. This is gonna burn more supply. I'm not upset if people are sell their stacks into Element and exit, because that's just they'll have to pay two they'll have to pay, well, they'll have to, when they exit from Element to Titan, they'll have to pay the tax on that. So it's just going to drive a bunch of volume, which is what we want to see, and that's going to drive a bunch of tax. And if you guys want to go back, watch my stream on Element with Dude. I went through a bit of moon math, and you can kind of see if we get 500k volume, for example, or a mil volume, the amount of potential burning that could be is ridiculous. I did do some math on it yesterday. I didn't actually put it in here. I probably should have, but let's say if yesterday we did 500k volume, if we keep like 500k volume over 28 days, if you forget about the NFT rewards for now, if you look at the amount of percent that will go to Genesis, HLX DAO and burning, it would be something like 20% of all current element at this, in terms of market cap, right? 20% of all element, if it remains at this market cap, would be gone
in a
into
single month.
safer hands in a single month, into safer hands. And 20% of element is a lot of element because there's already barely any element. 50+% has been burned. A bunch of it's locked in NFTs. So element is set up in such a way that it's the burning can, and the amount of tokens we can lock away. Everyone's looking at the burning, everyone's looking at the tax burning 0.8%, but they're missing the fact that Genesis gets a cut and HLX DAO gets a cut, and I believe those are good hands for Element. So the way I look at it is you're just putting a bunch of Element into good hands, and you're burning a bunch as well, and I like to see that. So I'm very happy. I have no complaints. And then the other thing is, and this was my other point on this, is the more volume we have on Element in this time, then is going to mean we're going to get more rewards for NFT holders. And I like to see that. I think anyone who's holding NFTs, myself included, we want to get good rewards. You want to keep the NFT guys happy. And I know a lot of people want NFTs to be burnt because they want their percent of the pool to go up. But actually, from a perspective on Element, it's key to keep those NFTs not burnt, because it doesn't, because at the end of the day, that's less supply for Element to deal with. So the more happy we keep NFT holders, the less of them are going to burn the NFTs. It just means less elements getting put out into inflation, right? If we just did a bunch of buy and burn on Element, with less volume for the NFT guys, what's that going to tell the NFT guys? Maybe you should burn your NFTs to sell out your Element, because no one's caring about you. You're getting less volume now. So let's just get rid of your NFT and burn it for Element, and then sell your Element. So I think it's good to keep that Element. I would rather keep that Element out of the supply. I'd rather keep it locked in NFTs,
Yeah, and like that 10% going towards like staking, like that's gonna, and then auto compounding. In the long run, Stax is gonna benefit Element even more. Like, yeah, I feel like having a 10% allocation to Element is more beneficial up front, but in the long run is not as beneficial as supporting Stax itself. And it's going to snowball, grow larger, and down the road, it's going to be driving tons of volume through Element.
Yeah.
And so 100%. In the long game, you're getting more burning in the long game. Yep.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, even if it looks like on the short term Element price may be better because it's more getting burned and stuff, they buy and burn. I think it's better, like I said earlier, like it's better to push Stax price up more. It will just create more arbitrage and more Titanex coming into Stax, which I prefer. I think that's better, and that helps Stax a lot considerably, right? You want to get good stake positions, you want to get good payouts, like it just helps Stax a lot.
Yeah, we're still seeing people wanting to exit the system. Like they're burning NFTs and selling at a below 1 ratio. And it's like, it would just help support exit liquidity, right? Like that's not, we're here to support the diamond hands, the long-term players. And that's really where it's going to shine, no doubt.
Yeah. And then look, like we've mentioned so much in the stream, the amount of Titan coming into this, it supports the whole ecosystem. So I'm talking about it from the perspective of element and driving volume, but also if we bring in more Titan into Stax, then we're getting more. All of your favorite ecosystem tokens will have more buy pressure. X28 is going to have more activity with Titan X getting burned or buying off market. So it just supports everything. And I think that's what the focus should be on. So yeah, those are really my thoughts on that. I hope that's cleared up for some people. And I know there may be always be a disagreement on this issue, but at the end of the day, the decision is made. So I think it's, in my opinion, it's the right decision.
Yeah, and ultimately, as developers, we've spent hours upon hours upon hours with the design of this protocol, and it's like Utah was saying, like this is very complicated and complex. On the front end, it looks very simple and easy. That's what we want. This is an easy button. Like the general user doesn't need to know all of these complex things going on in the background. But ultimately, there is a lot to factor in. And I think some of the community, they're just seeing the easy button side of things and the short-sighted, and not factoring in everything that's going on there, whereas as we're playing with it behind the scenes and we're seeing all these things, like I feel like we had a clearer picture than what the community had with just a general, just an impulse thought. Why aren't you doing that? It makes sense. And if you burn element, it pushes up stacks, so it doesn't even matter, like you're supporting yourself. And it's like, well, it's not that simple. It really isn't. So we had this question up front in the design phase, made a decision, and then this question was raised by the community when we released the white paper. We went back to it, had another call, and went back to this discussion. Well, let's revisit this. And we decided, you know what, like our decision stands. I think it makes the most sense to support Stax, and in the long run, that will support element. Like there's no doubt it doesn't support element. So
I definitely think there's an element of it where, because element price is down and stuff like that, people are they want activity there.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think it's just a bit of a short-term kind of site to have, because I think that ultimately, in my belief, I think element is in a very, 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 very beautiful position. I think it's amazing. Launch phase went so good. I'll do another stream on element, guys, for you to break down my like thoughts on why I think this, but I think element is in a great position. So I'm not worried about element. Short price is price. It's a lagging indicator. It doesn't indicate where things can go right now. So that's just my opinion. It's not financial advice, but I think that's a bit of the reason why people felt like that.
And keep in mind, like Dragon X, it was below 1-to-1 for how long? Like I'm pulling up the chart to see. I'm curious now. There was a long point in time where Dragon X was below 1-to-1, and there was a lot of questions put in the air, like, is this a failed protocol? This isn't doing what it's intended. Why is it doing this? Why, like, how could it be? That's impossible. Just the market.
And guys, no, sorry, continue.
Just the market does what it does, and it's just
the market, exactly. Yeah, and look, guys, like, not financial advice again, but if you bought Dragon X at that extremely low ratio, then what did you get? 100x? Not financial advice, but it's just Dragon X was incredibly undervalued, and everyone saw what happened to Dragon X. So you can't just count something out because it's currently at a low price. It's just
I'm looking at work. There are some wicks all the way down to like 0.1, 0.2 ratio. Like that's crazy. All the way back in March 2024, there's wicks all the way down to 0.1. 0.1. Like
wow.
And went all the way up to 25 ratio. It's sitting at 10.8 right now. So I feel like this is the exact same thing where it's like you can't you know, short term, it's hard to see the vision, you know, but
Definitely.
I think we're making the right plays here. I really do.
Definitely, yeah. Cool. So I think that kind of concludes that discussion, guys.
Yeah.
I know it may be one of those ones that's open for longer, but you know, that's my thoughts, that's Dude's thoughts. So yeah, I think we'll leave it at that. I wanted to quickly bring up the Element ecosystem webpage here. So if you go on the webpage, you can find Stax right here, and you can see all the tabs related to Stax. So guys, I want you to look at these NFTs. You know what I was talking about earlier about the visual effect of it? I'm feeling it. Honestly, I'm feeling it, because you're gonna go and make this one, but it's just a black and white one. You could get it in color. How much does it cost? 10% more. But you know, 10% more for a bit of color. I just think that sounds silly to some people, but don't underrate the psychology, the philosophy of beauty, and how we do value things as humans that look nice. So yeah, you know, I love this. So you got the common amped, common super, and the LFG, and you can kind of see the LFG banner is different here. It looks like it. You know, if it gives me the vibe of being a scientist and taking like some sort of pack a punch or something, some sort of like, you know, for those who played COD, you know, when you like inject yourself with on zombies with those like injections that give you abilities and your vision goes a bit interesting. It gives me those vibes. I feel like I've just taken some next potion and I'm getting superpowers, and this is what it looks like here. So yeah, that's super cool. So those are the common ones. These are the rares, and it looks like you've basically done it with the rare and the rare amp. Same with the common, has its own photo, which is relevant to those ones, and then the super and the LFG have another photo there. And these images are super nice. I really like them. And then look at those legendaries, man. You guys want to get your stacks, want to get your money. I love this. So cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a little touch there, but it's a nice touch. You don't want ugly in it. I feel like, you know, NFTs will always put me off is just pictures of JPEG monkeys. It's like you look at them and you're like, it doesn't even look that good.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that was my opinion, right? I'm not trying to put down anyone, but it's like, you know, having actually nice looking NFTs, like, it's cool. I like it. So yeah, that's that. And then if you guys want to look at the stats, just a quick one. This is what I was saying about the LP on Element. It looks like 3.95%, which is a lot, but get rid of burned. This is really what it looks like, okay? Because burned doesn't matter, it's gone. So I clicked again. Get rid of the burned. This is what it looks like. So NFT backing is backing 73%, guys. 73% of all available Element is just locked. Why does that keep on coming back? I'm definitely not clicking it. 73%. That's a lot, and I want to keep it like that. That's why I want more volume. And then look at this: 8.46% of all possible Element. It keeps adding the burned. 8.46% of
It
all
might
the
be the
possible
web
Element.
page refreshing.
It may be, yeah. Is in these LPs. That's beautiful. And if you want to go further with it and take away all the backing, okay, it keeps adding it. But if you want to get rid of the backing and just look at all the liquid we currently have, 31%. Guys, I don't hear any FUD. I don't hear any FUD. 31%. Are you guys seeing that? I know it just refreshed, but that's ridiculous. So definitely look at that, guys. And then yeah, come down to the Stax one here. And this is what we're looking at. So 20 LFGs minted, and we're seeing more diversity amongst the smaller NFTs, and that's what I would expect to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, the ball's going to get rolling once that buy and burn starts to push up the price of Stacks, and you get an arbitrage opportunity, and people burn to get bigger ones here. So I don't want to give you guys any financial advice, but personally, the way I see it, maybe the best way to play it during mint phase is actually minting the basic ones here, like a rare, a common, a legendary, and playing the arbitrage game to build up your position, and then towards the end of mint phase, if you want to get one of these more insane NFTs because you're in it for the long run, then not financial advice, but that could be a cool strategy that I see maybe people are playing. But yeah, that's just my thoughts there. And I think what we're going to do is just get to some questions. I did start a bunch of questions, and that will be the end. We've gone for a very good amount of time. So yeah, we'll get to the questions. So I'll get rid of my screen.
Maybe also just showcase the Stax Hub real quick, just to get a rundown of like what all this is. And
sure,
we tried to keep this simple. If there's an action to be done, it'll be shown, and if there's not, we will remove that box to keep it as simple as possible. So, but yeah, these are all public functions. Just it only takes one person to run through and click these buttons. They all have incentive fees, so you're getting paid to do these. But this is where like a lot of the automatic side of things happens. If you got the NFT, you just hold the NFT and you're good. And it just takes a single person to run through the Stax Hub and click these buttons. And that's what's keeping the protocol running. So, and if you're just curious, like what our stake positions are, this is where you would go. You see in the top right of each card shows you our stake position.
Yeah, super useful information, guys.
Yeah. So when like a staking payout hits, there'll be another box that shows up that says claim the staking payout. And then there's another box that'll show up to distribute that staking payout. But if there's nothing going on, we just pull it off the website so that it keeps it nice and simple for the user to see what's going on with it.
Yeah, I can imagine Crypto Kindness. I know he likes to click buttons. He has an itch for it. I can imagine him on this web page clicking lots of buttons. I know he loves to click his buttons. So I presume here the bank here is the amount of Titanex that will be going into buying these ecosystem tokens and feeding into the list.
That'll get distributed according to the allocation percentages that are set. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, that's the amount of we have available right now. Oh, wait a second. Hold on a second. Drop a 777 in the chat, guys. Look at that. 777. What can I say? What are the odds? That's
funny. Yeah.
What are the odds? 777 in the bank. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
So yeah, you can see all the different positions here to stake them out. And
also some of these buttons are whitelist only to prevent MEV attacks. So if you're interested in clicking these buttons and you hover over it and it says you're not whitelisted, just send me a DM with an address and I'll add you to the whitelist. And that way you can participate in this. So
cool. Yeah. So yeah, guys, for me it says connect wallet. Obviously that's because my wallet's not connected. It won't say that for you if you connect a wallet to the site.
Right.
These aren't all connect wallet buttons, guys. it's just because my wallet's not connected. So
if you were connected, it would say swap. But then with the hyper, it's a whitelist only. So it would say swap, but you hover over it and it'd say you're not whitelisted to swap. So
cool. So there you go. If you wanna get whitelisted, hit up dude with a DM. Cool. So is there a reason why, like for example, Blaze here has already got some staked, whereas it doesn't show any for hyper? Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, we just set the threshold super high because the once a stake is created, there's a 7-day cooldown period unless that threshold is met. And so basically there's a hyper payout coming in a couple of days, and we wanted to make sure that somebody just didn't come in and click the stake button and they stake $20 worth of hyper and then we're locked for a week and then we miss this payout. So we set the threshold super high, and we'll lower that threshold right before the payout comes, and so we'll make sure that a full stake gets hit, and then from there it'll be every 7 days.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
The Blaze, we set the threshold at 4,000. That's a diamond hand ticket, and as you can see, we've hit that several times. So even though there's a 7-day cooldown, it hit that 4,000 Blaze threshold, and they were able to click it again. So it's basically just managing the stakes and up front. But moving forward, it'll just be like every 7 days will be a stake option.
Nice. Yeah, guys. Nice numbers here. 2-8. Seeing some 2-8s. It's gonna be British vibes. I'm seeing some 8s. So yeah, seeing some British vibes going on here from the realm of the numbers. And I think this is gonna be a beautiful protocol. So yeah, I'm super excited for this one. You surprised me a lot with that white paper, man. I'll be honest, but I love it. I wasn't expecting it, and then I was like, why wasn't I expecting the staking easy button? Like, you know what I mean? I was like, I kind of felt like, oh, I was like, how did I not see that, man? I was trying to like mastermind all these things, like, oh, it's gonna do this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
You know, the whiteboard was completely covered in writing, and then it was like, oh no, staking easy button.
Yeah,
but it's good. It's good. Cool. So we'll get to some questions. Oh wait, do you want to show the user vault?
Yeah, sure. The user vault's where you go to see the actual distributions, the current cycle. So we did a special case 24-hour cycle for cycle 1 to reward all those day 1 mentors. So that's already passed. It's been created. Now we're in cycle 2. And now it's forever. Every 9 days, a new cycle will be hit. And this is when, once that timer runs to 0, the distribute button will show. And that's what's going to distribute all of the X28 to the buy and burn, the NFT holders, the Diamond Pool, Genesis, all that.
Nice. Yeah, nice one. Yeah, I saw that. I had quite a lot in there, and I was actually wondering, like, that's nice to see. And you got the buy and burn here. I like how it shows the total X28 available here. So currently there's 100 billion X28, which is 61 grand, is there to convert into to buy up element and also to buy up and burn tighter stacks. So yeah, nice. And then it kind of drips out like this. Is this amount set? This amount of buy and burn? Cool.
It's adjustable. Currently it's at 1 billion every hour is what the setting is. 1 billion element. And the way it's designed is if there is not any element available, then it'll take 3 billion X28 to market by element. So basically, like every third buy and burn click, it's gonna market by 3 billion X28 worth. And then the next 2 clicks, there should be element in there available. Yeah, basically, if there's element available, it's just going to do 1 billion. So right now there's 2.8 in the pool. So the next 2 clicks, it's not going to touch that X28 balance. It's just going to take 1 billion element, market by Stax, burn 100% of it.
Nice. Yeah, so 2.8, some nice numbers. 88, nice numbers. Yeah, man, this is looking good. And then that's basically that. You can see the OpenSea link and the docs link here. Docs is for the white paper, and OpenSea is just so if you want to sell your NFT or buy an NFT this is more for after mint phase. Then yeah, I'm always monitoring this, just see what's going on there because it's very interesting. Cool. Let's get to the questions. I'm just gonna stop sharing. Cool. So first question came here. I'm not gonna try and pronounce the name. I'll butcher it. But you can all see. Is Marco the Hexagon still building on element 289? I think I was going to say 280. I don't know, to be honest. I'm not too sure. That's up to him to say. I'm not sure if dude knows.
Right. Yeah, I would leave that up to Marco to answer that question as well.
Yeah. Cool. So
I don't want to spread any false news.
Yeah, same. So that's up to Marco. I'm sure he'll give everyone updates on what he's doing. I know he's building something. I don't know what he's building. I don't know what it's going to be built on, but I know he's building something. At least that's the information that seems to be, you know, the kind of public view. So yeah, we're going to leave that to him. Hopefully he gives us something something soon. But yeah, man, super interesting, and Marco's a clever guy, so I'm excited to see what he's building. We saw the weapon head question already, and I think that was from earlier in the stream. We'll talk about how tired you guys are. This is a question from Weaponhead. It's not a question. This is just a bit of feedback for me on the mic. Thank you for the feedback, Weaponhead. Yeah, I'm going to be constantly trying to improve the streams. Hopefully in the future, we're going to get better equipment for it. So, you know, I'm going to have to reach out to Dude and see what he's using. But this is a Blue, what is it? Blue Yeti. Yeah, there's a Blue Yeti mic. And I probably need to play with the settings on it to improve it. But if anyone does know how to improve it, guys, please hit me up. You know, if anyone owns a Blue Yeti and they know how to play with the sound to make it better, then just hit me up so I can improve that. But yeah, cool. I'm always open to feedback, so thank you for that one. Could the Helios style NFTs ever be placed on OpenSea? That's from Keto.
That's really up to the community. Like, so as of right now, the DAO, they're just liquid, I guess you would say. They're in the DAO wallet. I think the plan is for me to create a smart contract that will then transfer them into that smart contract, so that the claiming of rewards and distribution to the buy and burn and the stakers, all that stuff, is publicly callable and functioning, so that it's not relying on the DAO to do those things. But yeah, we can. I would say that's a good discussion for the community. Do we want to lock these up forever, or do we want to have a function in this smart contract that allows us to pull an NFT out of it? Because as it stands right now, like with the staked Titan X, there's no function to pull that out. Like, we're locked in that. So it's really whatever we decide we want to build, you know. And this is going to be, like I said, another treasury that we build, another smart contract that has public functions. So it's before we launch it, we can discuss that within the community and see what people think. Because it may make sense, like, because there's that backing. If we just locked them forever, then there's no way to access those backing tokens. So maybe it makes sense to allow us to have that eject button to pull out. But then, you know, you're not diamond handing, you know, or it's harder to diamond hand when they're not locked up. I don't know. There's pros and cons to it. Like, definitely. Would you like to see us be able to pull an NFT out and put it on OpenSea?
Yeah, that's actually a super interesting question, Keto. Definitely going to be one up for the community to discuss. So we're going to probably have to label out all the different pros and cons that will come with it. Just put it into very clear writing, and I'm sure the DAO guys will probably do a discussion on it. So yeah, that's actually very interesting, and that's one that will be discussed in the future. So that's a very good question. Thank you for that one. And I think the other stuff here is just from Utah. So I'll just start this because we're in the discussion. But thank you, my good friend Utah. He is a co-founder of the project. So I'm really grateful for his feedback on it. And yeah, man, it's all good. If you can't make it, it's fine. We will have things going on. So, but thank you for coming by and showing support in the chat and watching the stream. I do definitely appreciate all of that. So yeah, that's that. And I think the final question that might be on people's minds is, why am I wearing a coat? It's the winter right now in the UK. Okay, electricity bills too rough right now. I want to be buying more Titan X. You know, I want to be buying some more NFTs, guys. I'm sorry it had to be like that, but you know, you got to wear a coat sometimes. You know. Yeah.
Totally understandable. True DJ status there. You know.
Oh yeah, man. That confirms it. That confirms that. Yeah. I think we're going to wrap up there, guys. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. The support today has been absolutely amazing. You know, people supported me on Twitter as well, retweeting. I saw Utah retweet, you know, showing support. So you know, thank you every single person who's showing support. It really means a lot to me. It gives me more motivation to do these streams for you guys. And yeah, thank you to everyone. We're having, you know, regulars that I'm noticing coming back into the stream. So thank you all you guys. You guys mean a lot. We got Mrs. Whittle there. She's the one who brought me the tea as well. She's directly supporting my energy during the stream,
Yes.
and she's supporting the view account. So awesome stuff. And obviously we had Jake in here today. So I think that's the first time I've seen him drop a comment here. So thank you a lot, Jake. It's cool to have you. I mean, it's amazing. So yeah, that's so cool to see. And I'm just excited for where the future of all of this stuff goes. And yeah, Keto saying pay the bills. It's in Keto, yeah. You pay the bills, but you know, gives me more liquid to put into things. Yeah, you're trying to expose me there. All right then, I see what you're doing. Cool. We'll wrap it up there. Thank you, dude. Obviously, you know, dude is given the time to come on. He literally launched stuff yesterday. He had family gatherings yesterday, so you know, big respect, man. He had the time to come on and give me the time to talk to him and you guys this content, which wouldn't be here otherwise. So yeah, man, thank you. And we'll definitely do more in the future. This is the end of this 3-part series, but if anything else gets built or even other stuff, the stuff doesn't have to be built. We can always do more. So I'm definitely down to do more. Yeah.
Same. Yeah, I think you're a pretty active community member in HLX as well, and like there's lots of discussions to go on with that I'd like to go into more detail. You know, with like the V2 staking, there's some parameters that we want to decide as a community what's best, and you know, like the treasuries, and there's lots to discuss with HLX. So yeah, I feel like we should set up another stream sooner than later.
100%. Yeah, I'll be down. If there's DAO discussions going on, I'm down to join those streams. I couldn't join the last one, unfortunately, but hopefully if there's one on, then yeah, man, I'm more than happy to give my input and on things, and I'm definitely down to do more streams on all that stuff you've mentioned. So yeah, thank you, and thank you everyone. We're gonna wrap up here. Take care, guys.